What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Welcome to the Nightly Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. Good God, is this stressful, man? Ooh-wee. You put so much work in and analysis into these games, and then you invest in them, and then you get on that roller coaster ride. The roller coaster ride got off to an awful start, man. The Yakamoto grand slam in the first inning. I was because you guys know I got LASIK eye surgery on last Friday, so I was at LASIK, and I was like, they're talking to me. I see the grand slam, I'm like, excuse me, and then I live bet the under, which did cash. It's like, excuse me, this is far more important than my eyes. Why don't you shut it and let me live bet this under? Stressful. They were sitting 7-7, 8-7 if you include the Valkyries, but we only cashed that by a half point. Stressful. Some really good work, some disappointing things. We can go over a little bit, but we got to focus on the big Thursday card. Shout out to all the cappers rocking with us. Josh Witt in the house, ready to get to work. Sharpie, you do not owe me an apology at all. Don't worry. Don't worry. You have made me so much money over the years. You've saved me from losses. This is just gambling. It's just gambling. And, there was some decisions that I made regarding the Mets, the Brewers, and the Reds. And, in the end, getting off the Brewers was the right move. Not moving on the Reds was the wrong move. And not trusting Christian Scott was the wrong move. Look, I can't wait to fight another day with you, Sharpie, and you are a huge asset to everything that we're doing, and you're so accountable, but you do not owe me an apology at all. You've made me so much money over the years, and very thankful to cap with you. Johnny Bender in the house says, we must finish strong. Dewan Turrentine, 7-2 day. Dewan running hot. I love to see it. Says the Grand Slam play today, not cashing. Guardians literally walked in 2 runs. Shake my head. We'll get it back here as we will. That was tough. I cashed the first 3 under in Guardians Twins, lost the full game under, and then didn't catch the Twins the first 5 minus half. So let's just talk about some things that bothered me. So, my most confident bet of the day was the Nationals, first 5 minus half. They smashed and grabbed it. I'm so afraid of the Nats bullpen that I didn't add full game. But if I think they're going to be ahead after 5, I should have added the full game despite the poor bullpen. And then, on my way to this LASIK thing, I'm sitting there going, look, I said to everybody how fishy the LA Texas total for 3 total was. It was so fishy. And so I'm sitting there going, I'm telling everybody it's fishy, that it should be much more expensive. Well, why am I not on the first 5 over 4? I don't like. Look, this is a tough business. But if I'm going to sit here on my high horse and make certain statements, well, then invest in them or shut up. And I was like, how did I not bet that first? So that was the last bet I made. Very thankful that I locked that in. And it was not Walbert Urena that got touched up. So I'm very thankful that I added that in. What am I doing sitting here saying something doesn't make sense? Also, piecing things together, the line move away from McClanahan had to mean that Garrett Cole was going to pitch well. I need to connect these dots faster. Come on, man. So it took me until this afternoon before I added the first 302 in the full game under 7.5 in New York, Tampa Bay. It's a 4-unit score in that baseball game. But come on. I mean, it's capping 101. If the line is moving to the dog and I trust the pitcher on the favorite, well, that means the pitcher on the dog is going to pitch well. Come on. It's simple. And I don't know why it took me so time to connect those dots. Those dots should be connected earlier. Thankfully, I did connect them before it was too late. So we're sitting 7-7. The Rockies' first 3 was voided with the pitching change. I didn't buy out of the Rockies' first 5 plus 1. Rockies team total over 3.5. Did not buy out of those. The Cleveland. Oh, actually, I'm 7-8 now because that's a loss. Sorry, 7-8, 8-8, including the Valkyries, because that's Cleveland, Minnesota full game under 8.5 is a loss. I thought we did some nice work. It's too bad that I'm sort of, holding on for dear life. I got the Diamondbacks first 5 plus a half. So we'll see how this all bangs out. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Nicholas Handy in the house, Light Cheese, UNLV 94, Ramel Davis ready to get to work, Stimmy OG in the house. And see, look, Stimmy, we talk about how, listening is so important. It's Peter Loshak, School of Capping, listening, and Cap the Capper. Stimmy, I almost didn't move on that first 5 over. And I was driving. I was like, what the hell? You're going to just sit here and say how fishy that line move is and not bet it? Because if I'm going to do that, then I shouldn't be here. I should have look, if I'm going to sit here and say, well, this doesn't make sense, well, bet it. Stimmy, great work. I mean, it's just cashing nonstop on those. Sharpie said Gore was his only bet. He got the 7Ks, disgusting as hell, but got there. Nice job. And Dewan did move on the Reds first 5 full game. Excellent work. And that was Rod Zawacki's 10-star play today. Rod Zawacki, of course, got that cash. Great job, Rod. The Godfather in the house says, sounds like you had a great day. No, and I'll go over it very quickly just to make sure that there's clarity. D Money in the house, Lucky Power. Look, capping with you guys is a great day. I mean, this gives my life purpose. It does so much for me. So that is part of it. But I lost Toronto, San Francisco first 3 under at 1.5. Lost the first 5 under 3.5. Lost the Orioles first 5. Cashed the Rays first 3. Cashed the Rays first 5. Cashed the Nationals first 5 minus half. Lost the Twins first 5 minus a half. Lost the Orioles full game. Pushed Pirates first 5. Cash Cleveland, Minnesota first 3 under 2.5. Lost Cleveland, Minnesota full game under 8.5. Cash New York, Tampa first 3 under 2. Cash New York, Tampa full game under 7.5. Lost the Mariners first 5. Lost the White Sox first 5. Cash LA, Texas first 5 over 4. So not good enough. D Money off a 2-0 day. Look, I feel the community cashing. I know that we're doing good work, and I've only made one live bet on the whole card, which is not like me. So you can tell I'm stressed out. You can just tell it. And so here we go. We get to the show. And I have not moved on baseball, and there's some spots that are wide open, but it takes me so long to build this worksheet. Once I build the worksheet, I like to sit with it. And I was sitting here for the last hour sitting with it, and I was like, look, I'm just going to talk it out with everybody. I mean, there's some clear moves, but if I could just take a deep breath, work with my colleagues. I've done the work to build the worksheet. Now let's go utilize it. So, all right. I digress. Let's go. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Shout out to Swiggy on the 1s and 2s. Swiggy, thank you for all the great work you're doing as the producer of the Morning Bag and Nightly Bag. Let's get to work. We started 12:35 p.m. Eastern. Atlanta Braves 52-36, 25-19 on the road. At the Pittsburgh Pirates 46-45, 23-22 at home. Now I did not update the records from tonight. So a few of them are updated, but not all of them. We're in PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Let's get right into the conditions. Plus 8% runs, minus 6% homers, plus 17% doubles and triples, and plus 3% singles. We have Bryce Elder. I mean, look, God, man, we're so deep in the game right now. I'm almost at 1,000 bets before the All-Star break, which is something I've never done before. We're so deep in the game. We know these pitchers so well. We know these lineups so well. And here's my man, Bryce Elder. So Bryce Elder was horrific last year. 5.30 ERA. They kept throwing him out there because the season was lost, and they just kept throwing him out there. 5.30 ERA, 1.39 whip. This year he gets off to a phenomenal start. And then he hits the wall. His velocity drops. He's had 3 terrible starts in a row. We'll get into that in a second. But Bryce Elder's a 4.01 ERA, 1.23 whips, got a 3.61 expected ERA. And as I said, his season got off to a tremendous start. 3 of his first 4 starts does not allow a run. Big Drip says 2 absolute gas cans. How is this total only 9? Well, it opened up at 8.5. And it's going to be a 9.5 when we get here this morning. And, Big Drip, I'm sort of with you. I'm like, this is so simple. This is so easy. Am I missing something? Because I'm right with you. I mean, this should be bet right now. The sharper books have already moved it like minus 120 to the over. The duller public books are still a little bit behind this move, but I'm sure by the time the show's over, this will be minus 125s to the over 9s. But I'm right with you, Big Drip. I'm right with you. And then and is it weather? No, I don't think it's the weather. I think. Well, let's dive into this further. So again, we have Bryce Elder with these phenomenal starts to get the season started. Consistent, delivering, pitching well at home, very well at home. and then struggling on the road. And these struggles have come to a head of late. Just before we go into Mitch Keller, Swiggy, let's keep Elder up, the graphic up for a second, because I want to talk about these last few starts. So he had back-to-back quality starts in the beginning of June. So these issues that Elder's haven't lasted for that long. June 2nd, quality start at home versus the Blue Jays. June 7th, quality start at home versus the Pirates. Of course, those are home starts, and here we are on the road. Then June 14th, 6 earned runs. He allows 2 jacks. He's allowed home runs now in 5 straight starts. He has allowed 7 home runs over those 5 starts. And the Pirates start, another really nice start. Then June 14th, I said 6 earned runs over 4 innings at the Mets. Then June 21st, 8 earned runs, 12 hits over 6 innings. So those 2 starts in 10 innings, he allowed 22 hits and 14 earned runs, 3 home runs, and walked 4 batters. Then June 27th, 5 earned runs in 4 innings at the Giants at Oracle Park in the pitcher's ballpark. And he's the only pitcher who allowed a run in that game. Every other pitcher who saw the mound did not allow a run. So it was not a hugely offensive day. It was just Elder was the clown. So what they do, they skipped his start. They said he exhibited diminished velocity, and we want to give him a mental reset following a rough stretch. 29 earned runs over his last 30 innings. So what the hell do we do with Bryce Elder? Do we think that he's just going to follow this pattern of 3 straight trash starts? Or do we think that the mental reset works? Often, when we've seen with Grant Holmes and Tatsuya Amai and other pitchers who've had this mental reset, it's Brady Singer. It's not the first start they come back where they pitch well. It seemingly is the second start. But is his velocity going to be back? Yeah, that's what I was trying to research. Is his velocity going to be back? Let's talk about Helen Mitch Keller, 6-6, 5.02 ERA, 1.31 WHIP, 5.38 expected ERA. He's pitching terrible. Now, as he's pitching terrible, his WHIP's not that much higher than it was last year. He wasn't great last year, but he was highly sought after at the trade deadline. 4.19 ERA, 1.26 WHIP last year. He's got a 1.31 WHIP this year, but elevated ERA, elevated expected ERA. Last start for Keller, July 3rd, 5 earned runs over 6 innings, 9-5 loss at the Nationals. Last time he was at home, 3 earned runs over 6 innings, quality start, and 9-4 win at home versus the Reds. Start before that, at home, quality start versus the Mariners. So we have a pitcher in the Pittsburgh Pirates in Helen Mitch Keller, who's now going to come back home where he's had 2 straight quality starts. He doesn't have 3 straight because that start June 11th versus Dodgers they got to him. So is it Helen Mitch Keller? Could he pitch well here? The Braves are not hitting righties. But let's get into the bullpen first. Pirates bullpen's an atrocity. We have a lot of bad bullpens going on right now. Hot weather offense. His Aaron says can only look over. I get that. Look, I'm not sitting here trying to push the under. I'm just, why did it open up at 8.5? Pirates bullpen 5.09 ERA, 1.59 WHIP. Braves bullpen 3.65 ERA, 1.26 WHIP. The Braves bullpen's been really good all year. Pirates bullpen is not pitching very well, and the Braves bullpen's not pitching very well of late. Exhausted arms. Then we get to the sticks. As Swiggy mentioned in the chat, the Pirates are ripping the leather off the ball. 303, 875 OPS. The Braves 235, 664 OPS. So let's talk about the line history and see if we can answer some questions, and then make moves. So first, let's talk about which bullpen arms were used today. Let's do that first. Let's go there first. So which bullpen arms were used today? Because it was a beautifully pitched game today. It was a 3-0 Braves victory. Which bullpen arms were used today? The big ones. All of the big ones. For the Braves, Fuentes, Dodd, Lee, and then Iglesias, and they pitched incredibly well. Those 4 relievers, I don't believe that trajectory. I mean, obviously it's true; those numbers are true, but the Braves bullpen is very good. And Fuentes, Dodd, Lee, and Iglesias allowed 1 hit. They allowed 1 hit and walked 1 batter while striking out 6. Come on, I mean that's just phenomenal work. And then on the other side, Montgomery, Santana, Matson. The Pirates were down and they didn't use their best arms. So then can these guys pitch again? Let's get into the line history here for this one. We don't need to really talk about the cash flow because we know that everybody and their mom is going to want the over here. So we don't need to get too caught up into all of that. So let's just move over to the line history here to get rolling. We have 6 cents of movement towards Bryce Elder. Well, there's a surprise. Now, maybe that's just a move towards the Braves. That's a surprise, though. 6 cents of movement towards Elder. Let's get to the total. And we're going to look at the price difference, first 5 full game. Let's get to the total. This total's at 9, minus 120 to the over. It's a minus 115 at 365 right now, minus 120 here. Let's take a look at what's going on at Pinnacle. Let's take a look at what's going on. Sharpie says back-to-back games for Iglesias, and he says Suarez didn't go today. So let's take a look at the price difference here for Braves Pirates. We have the Braves at minus 113. First 5, minus 109. So this line is moving towards the Braves, but it's not moving towards them first 5. And then we go right to that first 5 total. That first 5 total is a 5, and I almost bet it. I almost bet it. First 5, it's minus 109 to the over. Would you prefer a first 5 over a full game? Is this too easy? Why did it open? How long did it last at 9.5? Why don't we go there? And I know that we can't sit here and spend 20 minutes on each game, unfortunately. But let's. We're going to already get the cash flow, some cash flow information, and I know I don't want to put too much emphasis into it, but we could all imagine that everybody's on the over. But let's see if we can get proof of that, and let's also see how long it lasted at 8.5. And the 8.5 wasn't real. Too. It was a minus 125 to the over. So we don't need it. Maybe I shouldn't let's stop talking about the 8.5 because that was a 9, basically, minus 125 to the over. It was a 9. Let's say it was a 9, minus 105 to the over and minus 115 to the under. It was basically what it opened at. But it has moved 15 cents towards the over. So the question is this too easy? Should we feel some fear that this is so easy, like Big Drip talking about? Shout out to Man Bear Pig in the house. Agent Parlay says, ready to get into tomorrow's card. Let's get after it. You're a Man Bear Pig. Love to see you, buddy. So here we go. Cash flow right now. We have 88% of tickets on the over, 88% cash on the over, and the line's moving quickly towards the over. I don't want to double up on it. A Groovy Alien says he's putting his entire paycheck on Conor McGregor. It's funny, Groovy Alien. I'm going to be in Vegas this weekend, and I'm fading Conor McGregor. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I just want to fade the public. But I will copy and paste this Groovy Alien and look into it further. I need to hear what Pub Sports MMA is doing. They had their show tonight, so I need to hear their plan of attack. Probably watch that on the airplane tomorrow. In saying all this, maybe just keep it simple, stupid. Maybe just keep it simple, stupid. And Nat Snake says Max will win by KO. Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of action on Max, parlayed with Max. Big Drip says slumping Braves bats. The only reason why I can see why the total is this low, but I'm still close to firing a 1.5 units on the over. This is pretty easy. This is pretty easy. And I don't like things easy. You guys know me. I just don't like it. So I guess, look, I'm not going to sit here and hem and haw. I feel like Keller is capable of having his third straight quality start at home. If he has a quality start, this game could still go over, and the first 5 could still go over. Daddy Meat's talking about the Dodgers game right now. I don't know why you need to cash out of anything, Daddy Meats. Yeah, I mean, I'd be the line just moved towards the Dodgers. I mean, Roki Sasaki's a question mark, but I would sit back. You got 2 runners on, everything going well in that game. I would just sit back and let it roll. Yeah, it was tonight. Yeah, it was. It's already done, Groovy. So look, I get it. This seems pretty easy, and we should probably just bet it. I guess I'm just don't like things that are so easy. I don't know. Everybody's going to be on this over, and why wouldn't they? Look how bad Elder's been. Look, I'm hesitant, and I'm going to sit back, but I can understand it completely for everybody here. All right, let's roll on. Next spot on the board, 1:10 p.m. Eastern. We're dealing with the exact same situation here. How do we not move on and over? Kansas City Royals 36-54, 16-28 on the road. New York Mets 37-53, 19-24 at home. We're at Citi Field in Queens, New York. Take a look at the weather conditions here in Citi Field. Minus 2% runs, plus 12% homers, minus 15% doubles and triples, minus 5% singles. That is really offensive weather for Citi Field. Citi Field's usually a very run-suppressing ballpark. Mark A, that makes me feel a little better. Let's get the Arizona first 5 coming through, man. Let's get it coming through. So let's roll. We have Michael Wacha. You guys know I'm a big fan of Michael Wacha. 3.45 ERA, 1.16 whip, 4.07 expected ERA. I like him. I've always liked him. He's very, very consistent. His last start, not very good. He allowed 3 home runs. He allowed 4 earned runs over 6 innings and 8 hits in a 6-1 loss at home versus the Phillies. Both starts before that, he was lights out. And in fact, that was 3 straight quality starts that he had. At the Nationals, that's not easy. At the Rays, that's not easy. At the White Sox, that's not easy. I agree, Stimmy. I'm right with you. I just got to figure out exactly how to handle it. One of the bets, the first bet I'm making when I get to Vegas is Spain to advance and Max Holloway. But that's only around like a minus 109. But I'm going to hammer that. But let's roll on. Here, so, coming off of a bad start, but, he had 3 straight starts where he was delivering the goods, 3 straight starts where he didn't allow a home run. So is he capable of bouncing back here against a weak Mets lineup? Let's talk about his opposition, Sean Manaea, 5.16 ERA, 1.37 whip. He's got a 4.15 expected ERA, so he's got quite a bit lower expected ERA than he has delivered this season. And there was a time when he was used as a primary where he's pitching out of the bullpen. Now he's starting. And he's not been good of late. He's not been bad. His last start, 3 earned runs over 5 innings. Now 6 runs in total. Some bumbling defense behind him, 2 home runs. Start before that, 2 earned runs over 5 2/3 at Toronto. He looked pretty good. Now Toronto was not hitting lefties at all at the time. Start before that, at home versus the Cubs, 3 earned runs over 3 innings. Well, we know that no team is coming close to hitting lefties as hard as the Cubs are hitting lefties right now, especially over the last 30 days. So he's pitching okay. Now let's talk about the Royals. We know they're hitting lefties hard, very hard. 289, 779 OPS. We can trust the Royals versus lefties, and the Mets are not hitting righties hard. Now they're hitting them a little better. And then we have these 2 trash-ass bullpens. I did not realize that the Mets bullpen had been this horrific. Good God. If you adding, because I go back the last 30 days. So yesterday was the 7th of June to the 7th of July, to just the 8th of June to 8th of July. Now you see how terrible they've been. Godfather says, is there a chance for afternoon thunderstorms? Let's take a little look at Citi Field. I did know that there was one game that was in red, but let's take a look at Queens weather here. Okay, here we go. Sorry, let me move this over here. And we have, there is a chance for thunderstorms. So let's see, when are they going to hit? Very nice in the morning. Thunderstorms at 1, light rain at 4, and scattered thunderstorms. So and then more light rain. There could possibly be. I have more than that here, but that I hear what you're saying. So we get scattered thunderstorms a possibility. These bullpens are terrible. Manaea is bad. Low scoring game today. How the hell are this over? I think is a little bit more appealing. With my unknown what Elder is going to do after a week off, and the idea that Keller's had back-to-back quality starts at home. Let's take a look at this total here. We have a 20-cent move to the over. This one opened 9 plus 105 to the over. Now it's 9 minus 115. A 9 total at Citi Field is extremely high. So I like that. Let's get to the money line. This is what surprised me. This is what sort of stopped me in my tracks, and I guess what it should do is get me on the over. There's a big move away from Wacha towards Manaea. It's gone from minus 127 to minus 140, but that's not all. Bookmakers at minus 147, Heritage is at minus 146. These are pretty big moves. Let's get to the price difference here from first 5 and full game here. And we have the Royals. So let's do it with the Mets. Mets are minus 141 full game. First 5 minus 130. So I guess the market thinks the most vulnerable part of this baseball game is the Royals bullpen, because the Royals are plus 127 full game. First 5, they're plus 111. Even that doesn't really make sense to plus 111 to me. Tells me that Walk is vulnerable. And it's hard to believe that Manaea is not vulnerable. This is an over that should be bet, and I will bet it as soon as I can. I understand that first game. Also, okay, so let's just do some tinfoil hat stuff here. I'm going to move on the over in that Royals Mets game, but maybe it's the early start time, James. Maybe that's it. Because it's a 12:35 p.m. Eastern start time. It's a travel day. Look, I don't want to sit here and look at me. I'm going to, I'm going to go against this huge move to the over. But maybe that's, I don't know. I think there is some unknown in that Elder Keller start. But you also know that I'm fans of both of those pitchers. So the over in Royals Mets will be bet for sure. Shout out to Bill Fay in the house. And Bill Fay asking about that Braves Pirates start. Look, it's tricky. This is sailing towards the over right now. Sailing. Mitch Keller has had 2 straight quality starts at home. Why wouldn't he have another one? And Bryce Elder had the week off, so why wouldn't his velocity be back? Okay. Daddy Meats, thank you for the kind words. Yes, we on our Discord, on our pubsports.com website, and on my ex, Jimmy the Bag. Okay, let's move on to game 3 here. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Nightly Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. Yankees Rays. We've been having these games lately, almost every day, where we just demolish the cap. And we went 4-0, 4 units on the Yankees Rays today. It felt great. Also, we got to look at the inside of the new stadium. Now, stadium's not coming until 2029. It looks spectacular. I mean, it looks unbelievable. I mean, I cannot wait to see the Rays ballpark and also see Vegas's ballpark. The Rays ballpark looks spectacular. It looks unbelievable. All right, let's roll. Yankees, Rays. We're at the Trop, St. Petersburg, Florida. Now, we don't know who's pitching for the Yankees. And I guess Drew Rasmussen, we're supposed to be confident that it's Drew Rasmussen here, but it might not be Drew Rasmussen. Let's get in and see what the books are doing here. Drew Rasmussen. Is he going to be on the hill? Sorry, let's move over to MLB. And here we go. Do we have... Okay, so this game's not even listed, but it's Drew Rasmussen. The question is, who's going to pitch for the Yankees? Yarbrough will be part of this story. And so let's just do our due diligence here. Yarbrough is not stretched out. He hasn't thrown more than 3 innings all year. He's not going to do that here. He's pitching well, though. He's a lefty, 4.29 ERA, 1.18 whip. He's got a 3.09 expected ERA. Look, the Rays are 32-12 at home. Do you know there's only 5 teams in the American League with records over 500? And if you look, the National League's so much better than the American League. If you look at even the Rays, an interleague player, a game under 500 against the National League. It's crazy. Drew Rasmussen's who we expect on the other side. 7-4, 2.78 ERA, 0.90 whips. Got a 3.18 expected ERA. Guy's just so professional. Delivers and delivers. And he's coming off a really bad start. Now, I was pretty excited to back Logan Webb after a bad start. And he allowed a grand slam, 1 out into the game. But I kind of like Rasmussen here. It was, 10-8 loss at the Astros. He allowed 5 earned runs over 5 innings because he had thrown 5 straight quality starts. Really nice starts. Those 5 starts, he allowed 3 earned runs. 3 earned runs. So, Rasmussen's pitching very well. The bullpens, these are the best 2 bullpens in baseball over the last little while. Yankees last 30 days, 2.14 ERA, 1.04 whip. Rays bullpen, 3.64 ERA, 1.02 whip. And then when it comes to the sticks, we have a Yankees team that's just not hitting. 213, 683 OPS versus righties. Didn't hit today. And with the Rays, now I would like to talk about what they're going to do versus lefties and righties because we're probably going to see, we're going to see both. First off, the Rays versus righties, 277, 812 OPS. They're hitting righties hard, and they're not hitting lefties hard at all. Sweetie said, I didn't know the bullpen was that good. It is the best bullpen in baseball right now, is the Yankees bullpen here. Let's roll. And Godfather said Logan Webb over 18.5, so it was a great bet today for TV. Jones says, can't believe he had the balls to do it, but they kept Webb out there. Yeah, I was thankful for the under 11.5 too, but I really expected a bounce back start. We didn't see that. Mally Mal in the house. OG says fading Yankees has been feeding families, pitching depleted. I think it's, Mally Mal personally, I think it's more just I'm being unable to hit. They handled the loss of Judge in their lineup for a while. Rice has been hitting hard, but now it just becomes more and more glaring every time. Josh Schwitt says Yarbrough versus Rasmussen on the books. Yeah, it's possible, Josh. Yarbrough has not started the game all year, and this game is not listed. You can't bet it at Bet365. You can't bet it at Penny. So I don't think Yarbrough is going to start. He's not started the game all year, but he's going to be a part of it. And again, what's that mean? 2 innings? All right, so those are our first few games. Let's roll into the next game. Game 4. We have tons of afternoon action tomorrow. We have to take advantage of it. 1:40 p.m. Eastern, our next spot on the board. Cleveland Guardians 47 and 44, 23 and 22 on the road. At the Minnesota Twins 44 and 47, 22 and 23 at home. We're at Target Field in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Let's get into the weather here in Minneapolis. We have plus 6% runs, plus 2% homers, plus minus 4% doubles, triples, and plus 8% singles. And my question here at the top of my worksheet is, why is the total going down? And look at that. It's Bailey Ober. It's not Mike Paredes. Wow. That is wild. Bailey Ober listed at the books. Wow. Shotgun play of the day for Ronnie Crawford is the Detroit Tigers. Ron, great to see you. Please put your plays of the day in the chat so that we can talk about them and discuss them at the end of the show. Ron Crawford, shotgun play today is your Detroit Tigers. Speaking of getting off the Tigers was disappointing. And I should have talked about that off the top of the show. It's the opening line that has to be focused upon a little bit more than the movement. The minus 155 was an enormous line for the Tigers at home, and I should have focused on that. Yes, Ober versus Williams. Okay, so I'm going to have to regroup with Ober. Our friend Bailey Ober. We talk about, Elder costing me money, Michael Lorenzen costing me money. I honestly think that no pitcher has cost me more money than Bailey Ober. I really believe that is the case. Bailey Ober going to be activated from the IL. He's made 2 rehab starts. It's an elbow injury, 2 rehab starts. So he's allowed a total of 7 runs, 6 Ks, no walks over 8 1/3 innings. So he threw 76 pitches in his last start. So he's dealing with a right flexor strain. We talk about the excitement of backing pitchers off the IL who aren't on the IL for a arm injury. Well, this is an arm injury. And shout out to Ken Mizrahi in the house. He's on the under in Al's stamp, 61.5. That's the only under I'm not on at this point. But Mal says, I hate Bailey Ober. Seems like every time I bet on him, dude left the game early. Yeah, he has screwed me over. But again, he's going to require a little bit more time. Let's grab Bailey Ober's statistical profile a little bit deeper here. I did not know. I did think it was Paredes, who's not been very good. But 6 and 3, 4.59 ERA, 1.22 WHIP. Going through that game log, he was really laboring in May. He had one. So what a crazy Bailey Ober. What a mess he is. He had that 9-inning 2-hit shutout, 7 strikeouts, no walks. In the other 4 starts in May, he allowed 19 runs. 19 runs in 4 starts and has a complete game shutout. The guy's a mess. An absolute mess. Godfather says if Williams K-prop is 5.5, I will bet the over. Let's talk about Gavin Williams. So Gavin Williams, 9 and 4, 3.89 ERA, 4.66 expected ERA, 1.18 WHIP. He's not pitching well. The dude's a beast. I love him. He steps up in big games. He was so good last year, over 167 and 2/3, 3.06 ERA, 1.27 WHIP. And all of a sudden, now for an extended period of time, he's looked really vulnerable. I mean, let's say the peak of his season, the pinnacle of his season was that 11K 8-inning shutout where he allowed only 4 hits and walk a batter and outpitched Christopher Sanchez in Philadelphia. The start after that, he was very good at the Nats. And then something happened. 3 earned runs over 5 1/3 at the Yankees. He faced the Yankees again. 3 earned runs over 5 innings, 4 in total. Then he allows 7 earned runs over 5 innings at the Brewers. Then he has 3 straight starts where he doesn't get an out in the 6th inning. June 22nd at the White Sox. Now 2 earned runs over 5 innings isn't terrible. He did the same 2 earned runs over 5 innings at the home versus the Mariners. And then 3 earned runs over 4 2/3 at home over the White Sox. He's not pitching very well. I don't want over. So why is this total going down? The Twins bullpen is atrocious. 6.33 ERA, 1.59 whip. The Guardians bullpen is starting to pitch quite a bit better. They had that hiccup, early June, maybe week 1 to week 3 in June. And then when we get to the sticks, the Guardians are starting to hit. They've gotten over, unlike the Yankees not getting over the Aaron Judge issue, we have the Guardians figuring their way out with Jose Ramirez. DeLauder and others are stepping up. Guardians versus righties, 254, 712 OPS, much better than they had been hitting. And the Twins are destroying righties. We know that, 298, 891 OPS. So let's get into the line history. Why is this total doing what it's doing? We have 15 cents of movement towards Gavin Williams. That to me says that it's Bailey Ober who is vulnerable. Then we have a total that went down to 8.5 from 9. So if Bailey Ober is vulnerable, does that mean Gavin Williams is going to shove against an excellent offense? Great job, Rod Zawacki. We talked about it off the top. Great job on the Reds, my man. And top set in the house. Great to see you, Elio, my man. So, look, I mean, I think it's sort of confusing, the idea that Gavin Williams is going to pitch really well here in a divisional game on the road against a team who knows him well and is ripping the leather off the ball, and he's not having very good starts. I would say that Bailey Ober would be the vulnerable one, but why is this total gone from 9 to 8.5? I think this is conflicting. I think it's pretty easy to say, look, Gavin Williams is still a really good pitcher. If you had a model, it would spit out that the Guardians should be bet, right? Because a model would take into account what Gavin Williams has done this season. So that's tricky. I am on that under AM. I am on an under. By the way, I leave after the show tomorrow for Vegas, but we're not going to do CFL on this card. I knew how that was going to take me a long time for MLB, so I'm going to do the entire CFL card tomorrow on tomorrow morning's show. And Rod Zwacky says Gavin Deal says bet under the total and Gavin Williams road starts when pitching in day games. On his record since 2024, 11-1. Yeah, I mean that's what the books are saying here. So I hear that. They're saying that this total is going down and the line's moving towards the Guardians. Rod says bet against Bailey Ober in home starts on the money line the second half of the season. Ober's record since 2025, 0-6. Okay, well, Top said I didn't really think that was the case. Oh, Twins first 5-team total over. Because I cashed the first 3 under in Twins Guardians. I did lose the full game and I lost the Twins first 5 minus half. So it was a disappointing game. I will copy and paste our guy Rod Zawacki's thought process here. And then I'm going to move past it. I'm going to spend some time. I want this market to marinate. I do think that with Ober coming off VIL, that this opening money line is shady. Now, let's go to Pinnacle before we move on, actually, and look at the price difference. But a minus 110, minus 110 for the Guardians, plus 100 for the Twins. With Gavin Williams on the hill. Oh, Nicholas Handy, wonderful news. Wonderful news, my friend. That's great news, Nicholas, my man. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the price difference here. The price difference for Guardians Twins. We expect a big price difference. There probably should be now. It's the price difference should be really should shrink because of the bullpen disparity between the Guardians and the Twins. So I take that back. Maybe it won't be that big, and it's not even there. Bailey Ober and the Twins are plus 113 full game, and first 5 they're plus 103. The books are intimating that it's also Ober could pitch well. Look, I'm going to need time with this. And maybe it's just the under the total. But I find it very difficult to do. Now, I understand there's angles that would take you there, but the X's and O's are a struggle for me. Unless you just focus on the day starts, which is a valid angle to handle it. Okay, let's roll on. 2:10 p.m. Eastern. We have Nasty Nate, Jose Buquet's Boston Red Sox, 40-48, 23-21 on the road at the Chicago White Sox, 47-42, 28-14 at home. We're at Rate Field in Chicago, Illinois, plus 8% runs, plus 13% homers, minus 3% doubles and triples, and plus 4% singles. Slightly offensive weather. This is a fun game. Patrick Sandoval is back. We have not seen this man since June 21st, 2024. We have Anthony K up now. I can talk about Anthony K. I'm just really excited about talking about Patrick Sandoval. But let's talk about Anthony K. We have him up right now. Anthony K has been so much better at home than he has been on the road. Of course, Anthony K pitched for Yokohama last year and pitched very well for them. I mean, this guy threw 155 innings. He didn't mess around. He pitched and at 0.98 whip. Looked very good. This year, he's 6-3, 4.39 ERA, 1.39 whip, 5.24 expected ERA. There was a time early in the season when the White Sox brain trust didn't trust him. Didn't trust him. And we saw that he was used as primary at times. And then let's talk about what we've seen from him lately. That last start, just 4 innings, extra inning loss at the Guardians. He allowed 1 earned run, 1 hit. Before that, 3 2/3, allowed 4 earned runs at home versus the Royals. Before that, shut the Guardians down. Now, that was when the Guardians weren't hitting at all. That game still went 6-5. The bullpens messed it all up. That game made me almost punch a hole in the wall. June 17th, 4 earned runs and 10-5 loss at the Yankees. It's not. There's gamblers that are higher on Anthony K than I am. Let's talk about Patrick Sandoval. I want to talk about Patrick Sandoval. We've not seen him since June 21st, 2024. He had the internal brace surgery on his elbow, and then he had setbacks, a bunch of setbacks. Sandoval looked very good in his 6th minor league rehab start. 6 rehab assignment, I should say. 1 point. Oh, it's all good, my man. Don't worry, I got this, Swiggy. I like Patrick Sandoval. 1.96 ERA, 0.87 whip. Very impressive over 18 1/3. Struck out 18, walked 6. 4 of those outings were at AAA Worcester, and 2 were in AA Portland. Last start, he ran his pitch count up to 68. That was at AA Portland. So there's going to be some type of workload restriction. And we haven't seen him in a long time. He had a bunch. So he had the internal brace, but then, complications. And I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, we're sitting here, first time we're seeing him in 2 years, Patrick Sandoval. And he was very good in his rehab starts. I mean, do you want anyone to be better than this? Probably not, right? I'm telling you guys, I don't like it when somebody shoves, but for a pitcher who hasn't pitched in 2 years, I kind of like it. He's saying he's ready to go. Let's talk about the bullpens. It's hard to believe that the White Sox have a bullpen advantage over the Red Sox, but that's the case over the last 30 days. White Sox bullpen 3.44 ERA, 1.38 whip. Red Sox bullpen 4.02 ERA, 1.30 whip. Red Sox bullpen pitching a little better, as you can see by the graphics over the last little while. I think that the elephant in the room is that the White Sox are no longer destroying lefties. They're just not hitting lefties. 217, 642 OPS. And what are the Red Sox doing? Hitting lefties hard. 257, 851 OPS. I think backing Sandoval is a sneaky move, but I would like the market to work with us and not against us. So let's get into this line history for this spot. We've had a 5-cent move towards the Boston Red Sox from plus 105 to plus 100. Well, I would like to support that. Let's take a look at this total. From a total side of things, we had a 9.5. It was juiced to the under. Now it's a flat 9. Wow, I'm interested in that. Shout out to Philly Eagle Flyer in the house. Mally Mal saying Red Sox have been a great investment in the last 15 days. And there is Mel in Denver. Mel in Denver, I've missed you. I hope you are well. Hope you and the family are doing great. I missed you. Rod's Wacky says, bet on Chicago White Sox on the money line at home when the total is 9 to 9.5. Chicago White Sox record during the 2026 season, 9-0. Great to have you back in action, Philly Eagle Flyer, my man. So, let's then roll into the price difference. The all important price difference. We have the Boston Red Sox at plus 103 at Pinnacle. First 5 plus 102. So there's not much of a price difference here. Not much of a price difference. You think there would be somewhat, but I think that they don't know what the hell Patrick Sandoval is going to give. Well, I'm interested in the Boston Red Sox. I think this is a very fishy line. There, Patrick Sandoval is a complete unknown, hasn't pitched in 2 years. You have a White Sox team that's 14 games over 500 at home. Shouldn't they be a legit favorite? It's well within the realm of possibilities that we wake up in the morning and the Red Sox are slight favorites, or at least it's pick 'em. I want the Red Sox. Now, obviously, Rod Zawacki's, angles on the White Sox are very legit. Nasty Nate says Red Sox smash again. Look, it's so interesting. I don't have much compassion in life left. It's all gone because of gambling. And we talk about you get this armor on you. You're gonna have $10,000 swings, and you're like, nothing changes. You just like, you don't emote. You're just like, okay, what's next? And I have all this compassion for pitchers. It's just the weirdest thing. I love seeing Patrick Sandoval come back after 2 years of grinding back, and I'm going to cheer for him immensely. And I don't want that to get in the way of the cap here. Dewan, who's crushing right now, says, I said yesterday, Red Sox will be a bet on team moving forward on the road. And Nasty Nate cashing back-to-back trifecta cashes. So I want Boston. Let's just take a look at who was used out of the bullpen here. I think this would be helpful information. I don't want to get too excited about what Jose Cabrera is doing for the Diamondbacks, but it would sure make me feel good. So the White Sox are just cold, ice cold. They're not hitting. And the only pitchers the Red Sox used were Weissert and Moran. White Sox used Murphy, Dominguez, and then Hudson and Richards. And Hudson and Richards are important pieces. And Richards threw 47 pitches. I think the Red Sox are the play. I think the Red Sox are the bet. Then the question is, do we want unders? And honestly, I think that the opener at 9.5 is too high. But you have to ask yourself, why did it open at 9.5? It's not like it's very offensive weather. Maybe it's because the Red Sox can lay into Anthony Kay. But here I am expecting Sandoval to pitch well, which may be a mistake. With all this being said, I want Boston. First 5, full game. Topset says the Nerfies on his radar. Well, I wonder if we should move on the under. I'm hesitant, but I'll put some question marks by it. But the Boston first 5 full game, I want in. Rod says bet on Anthony Kay on the money line at home when the money line is plus 125 to minus 125. Says Kay's team record during the 2026 season 6-0. So a couple of big angles there for him. And Mel in Denver says bet it before they lose Carlson on Friday. We don't think they're going to lose Carlson. We think that they've screwed Pat Verbeek, and they're going to, it's all Pat Verbeek's fault, but it's very interesting. And Rod Zawacki says Kay is going to deal. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. But the Red Sox are destroying lefties. And let's go over his last home starts. I mean, 4 earned runs over 3 2/3 versus the Royals. The Royals are hitting lefties not even as hard as the Red Sox. Start before that at home, he looked good against the Dodgers. 2 earned runs over 5 innings. Remember, the Dodgers weren't hitting lefties at the time. And then he had some nice home starts there. 1 earned run over 5. But now we're back in May. 1 earned run over 5 innings, home versus the Tigers. 1 earned run over 6 innings, home versus the Twins. I mean, if Kay's going to deal, it's Sandoval that's the unknown. If Kay's going to deal, then the under is going to hit. At this point, I still want the Red Sox. But I've copied and pasted our guy Rod's thoughts, and we'll see here. Yeah, I'm with Rod. I think Ducks are going to have to match, and we laugh at Pat Verbeek, man. Let's roll on. So that is our afternoon action for Thursday, July 9th. We must get paid in the afternoon tomorrow. Let's roll on to evening action, 6:35 p.m. Eastern. The Chicago Cubs 50-40, 23-21 on the road. Baltimore Orioles 42-49, 24-23 at home. Oriole Park at Camden Yards, Baltimore, Maryland. Topset said the books have not shown their hand yet. I believe they have. I believe they have massively. The fact that this is moving towards, you have the White Sox 14 games over 500, and the line's moving towards the Red Sox with a pitcher who's not pitched in 2 years. And when we wake up, it's going to be a pick 'em. I think they have shown their hand. It's the opening line, and the movement is the way I see it. But again, Rod has angles that are very legit. Here we go. Cubs, Orioles. We're Oriole Park. This is the most offensive ballpark tomorrow. Great American Ballpark is second. Plus 15% runs, plus 11% homers, plus 14% doubles and triples, and plus 8% singles. And rain, says Swiggy. Rain in Charm City, Baltimore. Let's get into Baltimore weather here. Baltimore weather. So we have storms in Charm City. Light rain in the morning and the afternoon. Thunderstorms and 70% precipitation at 4 p.m. And thunderstorms and 75% precipitation at 7 p.m. And then it dies off. So this game will be pushed back. Topset said the line should move to Boston. Why? Because they're playing better baseball? Why? If models are basing their lines off of, season-long play, the Red Sox are 8 games under 500. The Red Sox are 14 games. Sorry, the Red Sox are 8 games under 500. White Sox are 14 games over 500. So it's all good that we see it differently. But I do not think the line should not move to the Boston Red Sox. We have not seen Patrick Sandoval pitch in 2 years. I see it very different. The fact that the line's moving towards the Red Sox, to me, and the way the opening line is, it's tipping their hand to me. But okay, so let's roll. Sorry about that. And me and Elio are great friends, so we can. We're not a bunch of yes men singing fucking hallelujah together. Okay, David Peterson, 4-7, 6.75 ERA, 1.67 WHIP, 5.14 expected ERA. Look, I was the ass clown on Friday. Friday was my. I was talking with Swig. I wasn't having bad days. Like like today is a bad day. I'm 7-7, or I guess I was 7-8 after losing that. But I have a chance to, especially if Arizona keeps going. I have a chance to still play a winning day. But it feels like a bad day. I've not been having those disasters at all. I haven't in 5 weeks. I've only had one, and it was on Friday. Part of the disaster was I said this, which was so stupid. Looking back at it, I said, I think, God, what an idiot I was. I think we should put a line through Peterson's numbers for the Mets, because it feels like there's a dark cloud hanging over that franchise. He goes over to the Cubs, and he is, a chance to restart his engines. June 27th, Saturday, June 27th, his first start with the Cubs, 2 earned runs over 5 2/3 at the Brewers in Milwaukee against a team that's hitting lefties hard. I was like, look, watch. And then, of course, he gets annihilated in his first start at Wrigley. Just destroyed. 3 2/3, 10 earned runs. Makes me look like an ass clown. Oh, God, makes me sick thinking about it. So, obviously, I have a bias now because Peterson cost me all this money. And he didn't just cost me money. He made me look like an asshole. So, I'm clearly dealing with a bias. Now, let's talk about Trevor Rogers. Trevor Rogers is a pitcher that I like very well. Oh, Mark A, my man, giving us great news. Shout out to Chris Warren in the house. Talk about Trevor Rogers. I've always been a huge fan of Trevor Rogers. I've loved his changeup. And I've always waited for him to step up, waited for him to be great, waited for him to be great. And then last year, he was so great that I couldn't even handle it. I was like, what the hell? I didn't make that much money off of him. He was better than I could ever imagine. He got too good too fast. I was like, what the hell's going on? Is it Trembolone? What the hell's going on? 1.81 ERA, 0.90 WHIP over 109 2/3. It's not like the sample size was tiny. He was incredible. And then this year, he's back to that old mediocre Trevor Rogers. But he's been very good of late. Very good of late. He's allowed 1 earned run over his last 3 starts. He's just pitching at a high level. The 3-0 win at the Reds were hitting lefties. And Topset saying Baltimore last 10 versus lefties, 220, batting 220s. It's not Baltimore that's the issue here. It's the Cubs. But I'm going to get into that in a second. So we have Trevor Rogers pitching the best he's pitched all year, by far. The best he's pitched by far all year. Nice job, Chris. Nice job. Plus 700 homer prop. I love it. So we go to the bullpens. The Orioles have a big advantage in their bullpen. Now, we didn't get a look at that tonight or Wednesday night. 3.23 ERA, 1.16 whip. They're a bullpen that I like. And the Cubs bullpen is pitching very badly right now. 5.19 ERA, 1.46 whip. They've been in very offensive conditions. It's the Cubs against lefties. They are hitting lefties so much harder than every team in Major League Baseball. Now, they had some pretty offensive conditions at home at Wrigley. 286, 937 OPS. So that's the problem. That's the problem. That's why this doesn't all correlate for us to hammer the Orioles, is because of what the Cubs are doing to lefties. Now, can we sit here and say Trevor Rogers is pitching at a level that we can just, that great pitching shuts down great hitting? Or should we have concern? And I have concern. Real concern. So, what the hell do we do? Because Topset's right. You have the Cubbies hitting 286, 937 OPS versus lefties. You have the Orioles over the last 30 days hitting 228, 652 OPS and getting worse by the minute. So let's get into the line history here for this spot. Let's move this off here. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Line history for the Cubbies Orioles. This total opened up at 9, juiced to the over. Now it's 9.5 at a pick'em, moving towards the over. And then when we get to the money line, on the money line here, we have an 11-cent move towards Trevor Rogers from minus 115 to minus 126. Well, that should be happening. And look at that tops that says first 3 under and first 5 under. His point is the under. I have a difficult time doing it, but I think I shouldn't. Look who Trevor Rogers has taken out. The Reds, the Nats, and the Dodgers. The Reds, the Nats, and the Dodgers. Robert Cherry says suspect pitching and suck bullpens in this spot. Take the over or pass. I don't feel that way, Robert. You're welcome to feel that way, of course. But Trevor Rogers is pitching lights out right now. And the Orioles bullpen 3.23 ERA, 1.16 WHIP was fourth in Major League Baseball over the last 30 days. So, but I mean, it's fair that again we don't need to take the same path ever. We just like to cap together. Shout out to Frosty in the house. Great to see you. Well, I have a difficult time getting to the under. And then let's get in. Look, Peterson looked so horrible last game. Should Trevor Rogers be a bigger favorite? The Orioles are minus 125 full game. First 5, they're minus 129. So to put that, into perspective, the Cubs are plus 113 full game. First 5, they're plus 110. And is that because the Orioles can't lefty? So I guess Topset's thought process around this all is that good pitching in Trevor Rogers will slow down the good hitting in the Cubbies versus lefties. And maybe Robert Cherry's thought process is there's thunderstorms coming around here. These pitchers are going to be sitting there waiting to start. They're going to be out of their rhythm, and they're going to get lit up. And so you have a really strong left-handed pitcher in Rogers going up against the best left-handed lineup in baseball. And then you have a real terrible pitcher in Peterson who's pitching against, a bottom 3 lineup against lefties. Well, I'm going to have to sit with this longer. Frosty says, his money line. Yeah. I agree. The O's money line makes sense. Oh, God. This is tough. Okay. I'm going to need more time with this one. 6:40 p.m. Eastern. Next spot on the board. Athletics at the Detroit Tigers. Shout out to TJ. I talked so much about how big the opening line was on the Tigers today, on Wednesday. And then there was a 20-cent move away from the Tigers, and that shut me down from moving on it. That was a mistake, obviously. That was a mistake. So Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan, plus 4% runs, plus 3% homers, plus 3% doubles, and plus 4% singles. Very average weather here. Very average weather. Let's get into Perkins versus Valdez. So there was mistakes I made on Friday, and it was difficult to handle. I just had the eye surgery, and then the losses were rolling in, and it was difficult to handle. And I screwed up this Marlins A spot horrifically. Horrifically. A Topset says that the weather helps that first 3. I don't know if it does if they're waiting. It could. Because it could, as AM talks about it, become go from very offensive to sort of run suppressing if the weather kind of cools everything down. But also if the pitchers are sitting there for 2 or 3 hours waiting, it might not. But I hear what you're saying. It could. But the Marlins A's start in Sacramento opened up at a 9.5. And I made a big deal about how could it possibly open up at 9.5. Yes, it moved to an 11. But why did it open up at 9.5 in the first place? I felt like they were manipulating the market. They knew they'd get all this overaction. I bet the under, and there was 5 runs scored in the top of the first inning, and there was a 12-5 final score. So Jack Perkins allows 7 earned runs over 3 2/3. He still has a 4.08 expected ERA, 6.75 ERA, 1.45 WHIP. Look, he's not being very good, but his expected ERA, he's had some bad luck here. If we put a line through that start, he's not going deep in the games. So this trash Athletics bullpen is going to come into play. When he has a good start, it's 2 earned runs or 3 earned runs over 5 innings. And then we have Framber Valdez on the other side. I mean, his name carries a lot of weight. 4 and 6, 4.29 ERA, 1.38 WHIP, 4.42 expected ERA. And when we go through his starts, he's not been very good lately. And when you look at the starts he's stepped up, they are big time games. At home, the first time he saw the Astros, his team for so long, he shut them down. In Houston, 6 innings, didn't allow an earned run. Start after that at home versus the Yankees, packed house, Yankees are in town. He shuts them down. Then he has to face the Astros for a second time. He faces them at home, and they get to him for 4 earned runs over 6 innings. Then last start at the Rangers, in a controlled environment, in Arlington, he gets lit up for 5 earned runs and 9 hits over 5 innings. Gets 1 strikeout. He has 3 strikeouts over his last 2 starts. 3. Is something wrong with him? Is he dealing with arm fatigue? Let's talk about the bullpens. The A's bullpen is an atrocity. 6.52 ERA, 1.62 WHIP. Just so bad. Tigers bullpen, 3.19 ERA, 1.18 WHIP. And then when we go to the sticks, Tigers are starting to really hit righties. 234, 767. And the A's are destroying lefties, but they're not over the last 5 games. Why? Because they left Sacramento. Their numbers are like steroid numbers. It's like someone's off of steroids when they go out on the road. But over the last 30 days, they're hitting 285 with an 837 OPS. Frosty wants the over in this one. Valdez versus Perkins. Now, Frosty says wind blowing out at 10 miles per hour. It's not a big thing according to Ballpark Pal at all. It's very, very regular weather. So let's get into the line history here for this spot. We have a big move. Oh, they have Suarez listed now? What the hell is this? We don't have, so we have Perkins. So, god damn. Oh, we have Perkins here at the books. So I'm not going to, let me just very quickly go to RotoWire and make sure that I didn't just sit here waxing for no reason whatsoever on Perkins, who I think is kind of sneaky, honestly. But we have, Suarez is going to be the opener. Perkins is a primary. Nothing to worry about. Okay. So we've had a 16-cent move towards the Athletics, plus 136 to plus 120. That tells me that there's a problem with Framber. Let's get to the total. This total has gone up a half run from 8.5 to 9. 9 of the pick 'em. Let's go to the price difference. Let's go to the price difference here. Full game, first 5. And the price difference is, now we know that the price difference is going to be even bigger because of the disparity between these 2 bullpens. The A's are plus 125. First 5, they're plus 121. It's not that big of a difference. Wow. Roger White says, bet against Framber Valdez on the run line versus an AL team with non-base percentage 330 or worse. Valdez team record since the 2025 season 6-24. Says, bet against Detroit in home games on the run line versus starting pitcher who has last less than 5 innings per start. Wow, that's wild. Detroit's record in 2026, 0-6. Well, I think the market is talking here. And I know that on this big run that we've been on over the last 5 weeks or so, we haven't put too much emphasis into the cash flow, especially on the night show. We've done none. But look at this, 80% of the tickets and 95% of cash on the Tigers right now. Obviously, that could change when we get here tomorrow morning, but the way I see this is the Athletics have to be bet. Now, one part about this, and thank you, Swiggy, because Swiggy doesn't have these graphics ready for the cash flow because we haven't been breaking them down on these night shows, and they become less and less important to me, this season than ever before. Now, what I think we should do here is not bet this right now. There is a possibility of buyback. And if there's no buyback when you wake up in the morning, whether it's 6 a.m., 9 a.m., I mean, if you're taking this seriously, unless you're putting in your bets at 2 or 3 in the morning, which is also very valid, you need to get up. I mean, I wake up in a cold sweat to see a line move. So the way I'm seeing this is that if there's no buyback to the Tigers, we know to hammer the A's. And if there's buyback, we can still move on the A's, but get them at a better line. So the A's for me here. The A's for me. And then do we want to focus on the first 5? Probably. Let's just see who was used today very quickly. I'm sure the A's used none of their important arms. None of them. So the A's, here we go. Oh, no, they did. Sterner and Barnett. And Suarez pitched 2 innings. He's not the opener tomorrow. Suarez is definitely not the opener. He threw 2. I mean, maybe he only threw 23 pitches. He looked great out there. And then this Tigers bullpen's deep as the ocean. Look at that Philly Eagle Flyer. You got the tickets. I love it. He said he was going to do this. Center field for the home run derby on his birthday. Bucket list. Respect. Lucky Power, yes. Yes, let's take a quick look as to what's 1-1 now. All right. 1-1. And it is 3-3. Colorado, LA, and Colorado menacing here. All right. Let's roll on here. But the A's are appealing. Very appealing. Now, I'm going to sit until late at night with these games and with the copy and pasting from the thoughts that you guys have in the chat. And so but I do think the smartest thing we could do is wait till the morning to bet this. So, all right, let's roll. Hino Ball says, how should I feel about this 50-1 Marlins to win the NL East ticket? Those are fun tickets to have, Hino Ball. They're nice tickets to have. Nice. I've never played the lottery in my life. I'm never going to play the lottery. I don't want to win the lottery. I want to win circa millions. That's not luck. Well, obviously some luck involved, but all right. Let's roll on. But I do put those long, I had the 33-1 on the Spurs, and that was only bet on November 11th or November 9th. Okay, let's roll. 6:40 p.m. Eastern with the Seattle Mariners 47-44, 20-24 on the road. Miami Marlins 49-42, 28-17 at home. We're at Lone Depot Park in Miami, Florida. Bryce Miller on the hill. What a monster season he's put together. And he missed over a quarter of it, recovering from his left oblique strain. And he was terrible last year, dealing with the elbow troubles. He's making up for lost time. He's doing a hell of a job. 1.71 ERA, 0.66 whip. Are you kidding me? Look at the K to walk ratio. It's insane. 62 strikeouts and 5 walks. 5 walks or 52 2/3. Bryce Miller pitching very, very well. He had the first start. Before the start June 25th, he had 3 starts. Right. Yeah, I remember that. I remember when you hit that 100K. That was dope. And that would put a huge. I remember that well, man. That would put a huge smile on my face, buddy. I love that shit. But so back to business here. June 25th, he allowed 3 earned runs in 5 2/3 and a 5-1 loss to the Pirates. The market told us that something was up in that game. The line was not moving towards him. He allowed 2 home runs. He still struck out 11 and didn't walk a batter. I mean, the guy's a monster. Look, he's not walked a batter in his last 4 starts. I mean, the guy is an absolute beast here. An absolute beast. And we're getting the news here. Sparks are up 48-41. It was a sharp look. No Aaliyah Boston, the first half of a back-to-back. I didn't cap that very well. I mean, the Sparks could still fall apart late, but, AM and others were all over the Sparks. So back to Miller. He's pitching very well. Let's talk about who he is going up against. Jansen Junk and Stacks. You're right, sweet. Jansen Junk. This guy, I'm a fan of his. He was pitching at an extremely high level, and then he fell apart. Up until April, he was pitching beautifully, and then he fell apart. He was very good last year. He was a bullpen piece before he became a starter last year. He's got several pitches, several out pitches. I really like him. So he starts getting hit in May. 4 earned runs over 6 innings at home versus the Nationals. 7 earned runs over 5 2/3 at the Rays. 8 earned runs over 5 innings at home versus the Braves. Then he has a good start against the Jays, and he goes to the shelf. Right shin bone inflammation. So it's not an arm injury. Right shin bone inflammation. I don't know if I've ever written that down before. So he allowed 2 runs over 5 2/3 over 2 rehab starts at AAA Jacksonville. Didn't walk a batter. Struck out 6. He threw 61 pitches in his last rehab outing, so it's clear that he's going to be limited. He's not going to be able to go too deep. But I think he's going to pitch well. And is it hard to pitch against the Mariners? It is not. The Mariners are bad. They're we talk about teams being more than some of their parts. Who would that be? The Marlins. Who's playing less than the sum of their parts? The Mariners. Mariners are hitting 217, 628 OPS versus righties. But let's go into the bullpen. This bullpen, we thought Mariners bullpen was going to be so strong. And look, they'd be good all year. But they're not pitching well right now. 4.63 ERA, 1.36 WHIP over the last 30 days. Marlins bullpen, 4.26 ERA, 1.18 WHIP. And then we have we just need one more run. But we're in business, Godfather. We are in business. That voided bet, the only void that I had was that first 3 plus a half, and that would have cashed in the end. So, unfortunately, it was voided, which sucks. So, I think Jansen Junk can pitch well here. I really do. And I think that, again, this goes back to the Cubs against lefties against Trevor Rogers, who's pitching well. Now, nobody's pitching as well as Bryce Miller. He should be able to slow down this Marlins attack. And as you can see, the trajectory of the Marlins, they're hitting so hard right now, and the Mariners are doing nothing. This is the game at this point where I feel the most comfortable with, where there isn't like a whole bunch of unknowns that we're talking about. Now, we can bet into some of these unknowns, but this one I feel some comfort within. Let me get rid of these things. Let's take a look at this line history here for this one. So here we go. Line history wise, we have not all the books opening this game up, but some offshores have an 8 juice to the over. Heritage minus 112 to the over. Bookmaker minus 113 to the over. A little surprised about that. Money line, we have Bryce Miller minus 149, between minus 143 and minus 149 favorite. Damn, the one. That's not good. 2-1. Shit. Not good. I really wanted well, we have the top of the 5th. Not good. Damn it. He's doing everything I asked of him, Jose Cabrera. It's not his fault. All right, let's look at let's look at the price difference here for Miller or Junk. So we have minus 142 for the Mariners full game, and first 5 minus 152. And then put that into perspective, the Marlins are plus 128 full game, and first 5 plus 129. So it's time for us to look at our first 3. And now we can look at a lot of these. I should have been talking about them throughout. I know that they're very helpful figuring things out. So let's take a look at the first 3 here in this one. And then let's take a guess as to what it would be. So where are we? So we have an 8. So it's an 8 at minus 110. It should be a minus 125 to the under and a minus 115 to the over. Simple, clean. And then the sharps would, mess with it. So let's see what it is. And it is just a pick, a minus 120 each way, which is totally valid, totally fair. And we'll see where it goes. Rod's Wackies on the Marlins money line says bet on any team not hitting, betting 3 bet on any team, a hot hitting team, batting 305 or better over the last 10 games, starting an over-rested pitcher who's working on 7 or more days rest. Record since 2017, 64 and 30. Says bet against Seattle in road games on the money line versus a team with a very good bullpen whose whip is 1.250 or better. Seattle's record during the 2026 season, 0-8. Well, I'll tell you what. I know there's some unknown about what Jansen Junk is doing. I think we move on the first 3 under 2.5 at -120. And I think we show up here tomorrow morning and it's at a minimum -135 or -140. I don't think this is an outlandish number. I thought that the Angels, Rangers, Gore versus Urena was an outlandish number, especially when I was comparing it to what the number was in the start before that with DeGrom versus Soriano, because I do think Urena and Gore are at that level or better. I think this is at a point where it's going to move because people are going to bet it. And I think that the first 3 under 2.5 should be bet. And I guess I'm not against the full game under either, because we know that Miller's going to pitch well. The Marlins sticks are hot. I think this probably is a first 3 under and a full game under. Again, we don't talk much about cash flow, but I'm curious, and we don't have any information on the total. But we do know that the bets are coming in right now on Bryce Miller, 76% of the ticket, 62% of the cash. So bigger bets seemingly are coming in on the Marlins. So yeah, I like the unders. I like these pitchers to both pitch well, and I think that's what I would like to focus on. There's my guy Deacon Mike in the house, cashing the Cubs homer prop. I am wearing my Lou Brock jersey. But I love you, Deacon. I should get some Cubs wear. Just to appease my friend Deacon Mike, the man, Deacon Mike. Yeah, I want unders. First 3 under. Full game under. Rodzwagi says each of the Marlins' last 6 games, his home underdogs have gone under the total. And he says bet on Jansen Junk on the run line versus teams whose hitters strike out 7 or more times a game in the second half of the season. Junk's team record since 2025, 12-1. Okay, I want unders. Well, that feels good. I feel some comfort. Let's roll on. Next one on the board, 7:10 p.m. Eastern. The Philadelphia Phillies, 50-40, 25-19 on the road at the Cincinnati Reds, 41-48, 20-24 at home at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, Ohio. Second most offensive ballpark tomorrow, behind Oracle Park, Camden Yards. Plus 11% runs, plus 29% homers, minus 1% doubles and triples, and minus 4% singles. The head of the operations, and this is just a quick aside, the head of the operations for the new Rays ballpark, his dad was the head of operations for Camden, building Camden. Camden is the most spectacular ballpark. It came out a year after the Jays built the Skydome, and the Jays are absolute idiots. Looking at how horrible, I know they did the huge renovations and made the Skydome a little bit better, but imagine if they had just seen Camden Yards and copied them. We could have this gorgeous downtown ballpark instead of this fucking hideous ballpark. The Toronto ballpark, I know that the Trop is trash and there's some bad stadiums out there, but what I thought was the worst in Major League Baseball before the $200 million renovation. But again, I digress. Let's roll here. Robert Cherry says, what are the Mariners' home road splits for Miller? We had those up on the graphics. Miller's home road splits. Miller's unbelievable at home and not as good on the road. But he's walked 5 batters over 60 innings. I think he's just a great pitcher. But yeah, he's unhittable at home, and he's a little more vulnerable on the road. All right, and we have the Godfather. Keep an eye on the Godfather's live bets, man. Live betting the Fever Sparks under 187.5 and 462 for life, catching the Rockies first 3. All right, let's roll on. We have an interesting one here at Great American Ballpark, Cincinnati, Ohio, with Jesus Luzardo on the hill. This is Jesus Luzardo's 4th straight road start. His last 2 starts have come on the weekend. Over the last 3 weeks or so, we've been taking Saturday and Sunday off. We were only taking Sunday off for the whole start of the year. Then we're taking Saturday, Sunday off. So the last 2 starts of Jesus Luzardo, we didn't cap together. Last time we saw Luzardo. Well, let's go over Luzardo as a whole here. 3.75 ERA, 1.27 whips, got a 3.07 expected ERA. He's starting to pitch really well. He's an emotional guy. He cares very much, and he's starting to find himself. Last start was a thing of beauty at the Royals. 9 strikeouts, no walks, 1 run over 6 innings in a very offensive condition. Shout out to Jesse Dykster in the house. Says a Luzardo strikeout prop over the total should be considered, says our friend Jesse. Then we have Sunday, June 28th, 5 innings, 1 earned run, 6 Ks, 3 walks, and a 5-4 win at the Mets. Tuesday, June 23rd, 1 earned run. Now, he let 5 runs in total, but let's not this bumbling-ass defense, which we've seen a lot of lately, behind him. 1 earned run over 6 2/3. Start before that was at home versus the Marlins, who were hitting hard. 2 earned runs over 7 innings. Start before that, 1 earned run over 5 2/3. The guy's just pitching very, very well right now. And we have Brady Singer on the other hand, 5.03 ERA, 1.54 whips, got a 5.55 expected ERA. This year, we've seen why the Royals gave up on him. And he was pitching really bad this year. He was pitching really bad, and then he was skipped. Not like Grant Holmes, who shoved today, who asked for it. They skipped they forced him to take a reset, to regroup. Deacon said Cincinnati batters don't do squat against Luzardo. Now, the Reds have been hitting lefties hard, but Luzardo's a hell of a pitcher. But they're not hitting as hard as the Phillies versus righties. But let's talk about this break here. Let's talk about this break. We have the Reds skipping the start for Brady Singer. And he came back and threw 3 earned runs over 5 innings at home versus the Braves. Braves aren't hitting at all. It wasn't that good of a start. Then he allowed 4 runs, but only 1 earned in a loss at the Cardinals. Then he had a quality start. Lo and behold, the Marine layer at Petco helped him, and he had a quality start, 2 earned runs over 6 innings. And I had talked. You guys know I love the psychological angles around this. I love the resets, the mental resets. It's not like the angle is putting a ton of cash in my pocket. I just like it. And so I was like, we could be ahead of the curve. Singer's pitching better. And then he started paying. He started paying for us. He had the quality start against the Padres. He had a really good start at home over the Mets. He had an unbelievable start at home versus the Brewers. And I was getting cocky. And, of course, he gets lit up at the Pirates. As soon as I start saying, look, I told you guys we're ahead of the curve, and then he gets lit up by the Pirates. And then the last start, 2 earned runs over 5 innings. He's pitching better. He's pitching better. Now, this is a tough team to pitch against, but let's get into the bullpens. The Reds' bullpen, which was unbelievably bad in the first month of the year, is pitching quite a bit better. Reds' bullpen's got a 3.45 ERA, 1.31 whip over the last 30 days, and look what they're doing over the last 5 games. So we've had a big turnaround from the Reds' bullpen. The Phillies' bullpen here, 5.40 ERA, 1.51 whip, is pitching horribly bad. And then when we get to the sticks, we've talked about the Reds hit lefties. They're hitting lefties. They're doing nothing against righties, but they're hitting lefties. We've talked about Deacon talking about the numbers against Luzardo, but they are hitting lefties. The Phillies are raking against righties. Now, they've come down over the last 5 games, but 272, 804 OPS over the last 30 days. Let's get into the line history here for this Phillies-Reds spot. 13 cents of movement towards the Phillies, from minus 153 to minus 166. I think that's really simple. If you look at Brady Singer's numbers as a whole, and Luzardo's numbers as a whole, you're like, well, look at this huge advantage I have on the mound. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We'll look at the price difference at Pinnacle for his 5-4 game. Let's go to the total. This total is a 9.5 and juice to the over. It opened up at 9 as a pick 'em. It's 9.5 juice to the over. So who is the vulnerable one? OG Bobby Johnson says Luzardo's great on the road. Rod's Wax says bet on Philadelphia on the money lines in favor of the minus 150 or more. Philadelphia's record during 2026, 30-6. And Rod says bet under the total of Brady Singer home starts in July games on his record in since 2024, 7-0. So let's look at the price difference. Look at the price difference. I don't think with this move towards the over in offensive conditions, I think we can. It's not inexplicable. I mean, we can explain what's going on, but I don't like going up against these market moves unless I really have conviction, which I don't have. So I can get away from the total. The Reds are minus 160 at penny full game. First 5, they're minus 146. That's interesting. So the Reds are plus 144 full game. First 5, they're plus 124. That's a big, big difference, man. That's a huge difference. That is a massive difference. Especially when you consider how much better the Reds bullpen's been against the Phillies over the last month. That is such a big difference that I did not expect. Wow. So this total's gone from 9 to 9.5, and yet Singer is being very respected by the sharpest book in the land on the first 5. Wow. Okay. Well, you know what? I think this puts that first 3 under in play. Now, the first 3 under will be a 3.5. It might be slightly expensive at a 3.5. It should be juiced to the under at a 3.5. So let's see what it is. Let's just stop talking about it and see what it is. So the first three under. Wow, it's so low. Wow, the first 3 under 3.5 is minus 200. I assume that's going to go up by the time we get here tomorrow. That is really expensive. So it's the bullpens that the market expects are going to get lit up. Go back to the old days when you could bet second half overs at Heritage. Wow. Okay. Well, it's the first 3 under. I need to write down what it is right now here. So the first 3 under is here we go. The first 3 under 3.5 is minus 200. That's just that. I guess I want to keep an eye on that one. So the first 3 under 3.5 is minus 200. That's got to go up. As the total goes from 9 to 9.5, how would that not? I mean, we got to get a better price than that, don't you? The first 5 team total tells another story, says Top Set. Let's take a look at these first 5 team totals, says our friend Elio. The first 5 team total for the Phillies, minus 107 to the over. And for the Reds, minus over 1.5 at minus 148. I don't think it. I mean, the first 5 under 5 is minus 117 for a 9.5. Wow. Okay, this is a fascinating game that I'm going to need time with. First off, the Reds could be live early. I mean, so I'm going to look into that, and then the first 3 under is interesting, and maybe the full game under, like Rod's talking about. Maybe we should just say we have the conviction to go up against the market. Too bad this wasn't a game at 1:10 p.m. Would make it easier. Wow, what a fascinating game. That's a fun one. I can't wait to hit that again in the morning. All right, let's roll on. Next stop, 7:45 p.m. Eastern with the Milwaukee Brewers, 55-33, 26-15 on the road at St. Louis Cardinals, 47-40, 23-21 at home at Busch Stadium, St. Louis, Missouri. Minus 4% runs, minus 9% homers, minus 2% doubles and triples, plus 5% singles. And we have Logan Henderson back in business. We haven't seen him since late May, a back strain. So he's cleared to return. He threw 2 rehab outings, and he only threw 6 2/3 combined. He allowed 2 earned runs, struck out 11, and walked 2. Here. And Top Set saying, look at the 2.5 team total. Yeah. It's a fun one. It's a really, really fun game. And Rod just bet the under 9.5. Let me copy and paste that here. This is that was a really, really fun cap, man. And this one's really fun too. Logan Henderson versus Andre Palante. I'm just going to copy and paste this Rod. This Rod Zawacki action. Okay. So let's roll here. By the way, Rod, it looked like I was going to be going out to Calgary with the fan radio station out there, and then of course all the fans in those 4 cities have shut down and everybody's being fired. I don't mean to be laughing. It's fucking sad. It's horrible. So it's too bad I won't be able to get out there and have some drinks with you. But let's roll. Logan Henderson, 2-1, 2.74 ERA, 2.99 expected ERA. He's been spectacular this year. I mean, every pitcher that the Brewers have out there must be trusted. it's the Brewers and the Rays brain, the Guardians brain trust. I mean, you just got to believe in every pitcher that's come up. Now, it was a back strain. So it was not. Oh yeah, Kelly McInnes. Yeah, man. Of course. God, I have so many. I love Calgary. I really, really like Calgary. I used to spend 4 months here at the Blackfoot Inn. I was a comic for 18 years. All the corporates we got to do for the oil companies out there. We'd make over a quarter of our salary in December just doing corporates for the oil companies out there. Back to business here. Logan Henderson, we haven't seen since May 22nd, but it's not an arm. It's not an arm issue. So he should be ready to rock. The Peter Loshak school of capping these pitchers that we believe in coming off the IL for a non-arm related injury. It's been very good to us. Let's talk about Andre Pallante. Now I've talked often about Liberatore and Pallante sort of getting the best of me, but now it's pretty clear. Liberatore is a fade and Pallante should be backed. 3.60 ERA, 1.22 whips, got a 3.69 expected ERA. Look, yes, Pallante was trash last year, but we should just give him the benefit of the doubt. It's not last year. Last year, 5.31 ERA, 1.44 whip, had 111 strikeouts over 162 and a third, and decent chance of rain. Swiggy was talking about the rain, and thank you for reminding me of that because we did break off on a tangent here. Let's take a look at the St. Louis weather here tomorrow. So we've got a lot of storms in this area tomorrow. It's beautiful weather in the day, and then the thunderstorms come right around game time. Oh, that's a problem. 75% precipitation. It could easily get rained out. Let's just do our due diligence. We don't need to spend too much time on it. July 3rd, 5 2/3, no one runs for Pallante. The start before that, he got lit up by the Marlins. That was the one bad start in the, he's been pitching very, very good. I mean, if we go all the way back to May 17th, one start, 4 earned runs, at home versus the Cubs. One start, 5 earned runs at home versus Marlins. Every other start, he's been delivering and delivering and delivering. But the rain is an issue. Cards bullpen's been bad of late. 4.84 ERA, 1.41 whip. Brewers bullpen, 3.68 ERA, 1.24 whip. Look, we know what the Brewers bullpen had a bit of a hiccup, but they're back to being elite. The Cardinals bullpen blew our mind earlier in the year, and they're back to being below average. No surprises there. But against the sticks, the Brewers, what are the Brewers bad at? Are they the most professional team in baseball? I mean, they just do everything well. Brewers versus righties, 264, 774 OPS. Cardinals versus righties, 252, 743 OPS. Let's get into the line history here for this one. It's too bad that the Storms could mess this one up. We've had a 5-cent move to the over 8.5 minus 105, now over 8.5 minus 110. And then on the money line here, we've had a 5-cent move to Logan Henderson, minus 121 to minus 126. And then let's take a look at the cash. The price difference here. The price difference for first 5 and full game, we have the Brewers minus 127. First 5 minus 125. Rodswag says, bet against Andre Pallante on the run line after giving up no earned runs last outing. Pallante's team record since 2024, 0-9. I think how this should be handled personally is if there is rain and it does mess up the game, then wouldn't the Brewers be the team we would gravitate towards? Aren't they the team that can handle this the best? And I think the answer is yes. They're the ones that can handle this the best. They have a great bullpen. They're so professional. Yeah, Rob, I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen at some point. Because there's a couple other business things that I have kind of cooking out there. So, but I thought it was going to happen, and then everybody got fired. So I think the Brewers should just be bet. I think they should be bet. I think we're getting a nice price because Pallante is pitching at a very high level. But if the Storms are going to mess this up, we'll pick the better hitting team with the better bullpen. I mean, maybe I'm simplifying this too much, and it's fine if I am. Now we have Logan Henderson coming off the IL, but God, he looked good beforehand. I think the Brewers should just be bet. By the way, shout out to the great Troy Torrance, who was all over the Cardinals today. I mean, it's one thing for me to know not to be on the Brewers, that the opening line didn't make any sense with the big pitching advantage that the Brewers had. Here, there's question marks, and Pallante's having a really good season. This line I get. It's one thing for me saying, look, the Brewers line doesn't make sense. I don't care that's moved in their direction. It's another thing to say, I'm going to bet against it, which is what Troy said. Respect to my friend Troy, our friend Troy Torrance. Rodswag says, bet on Milwaukee on the money line when the money line's minus 100 to minus 150. Milwaukee's record during 2026 season 32-12. This has got to be the bet. It's got to be the bet. And we want the Storms to come in now. Come in, ruin the game. And Topset says, I agree. I'd love to see minus 145 tomorrow. I think that you will. When we saw it today, you go from minus 125 to minus 145. But that line didn't make sense to me. This one does. Let's roll on. 8:05 p.m. Eastern, our next spot on the board. Los Angeles Angels, 36 and 55, 15 and 30 on the road. Texas Rangers, 45 and 45, 20 and 20 at home. Globe Life Field in Globe Field in Arlington, Texas, Milwaukee, in my mind. Reed Detmers, what a beast. He's pitching so well, and he's making us so much money. His last start at home versus the Reds on Friday was not the case. 5 earned runs over 7 innings, took some of the money back. He's had that bad start at the Athletics. But look at the home starts he was having before then. He was just shoving. That start in Arizona, it feels like in environments, controlled environments, he's pitching really well in. And then when there's a whole bunch of shit going on, he's struggling here. And Topset said he cashed this. Yeah, I did too. I just had the first 5 over 4. We talked all about it, Topset. It was fun breaking that down with you. So I really believe in Detmers. 4.13 ERA, 1.11 whip. He's got a 3.19 expected ERA. He's really good. Let's look at the controlled environment spots here. So let's go here. So at home versus these Texas Rangers, he completely shut them down May 24th. 8 innings. He allowed 1 hit. It was a solo shot. He struck out 14 and didn't walk a batter. Should that make us concerned or uncomfortable? Or should we take that information and say, look, he's going to shove again against the Texas Rangers? It's interesting. That was the beginning of a run for him. He allowed 3 runs over 5 innings at Tampa, but then he shut out the Dodgers over 6 innings at Chavez Ravine. And then he allowed 1 earned run. It was another solo job against him at home versus the Astros. Didn't allow an earned run over 7 innings at Arizona. I mean, he was just shoving here. Godfather says Rangers bats went cold today. Consider taking their team total under. Let's talk about Nate Eovaldi on the other hand. 4.02 ERA, 1.17 whip. Nice low whip. He has allowed 19 home runs. He's only walked 24 batters, but he's allowed 19 home runs. That's not like Nate Eovaldi. I'm not used to that. 4.02 expected ERA, 4.02 actual ERA, but a really low whip. So we know he was scratched from his scheduled start due to left side tightness after May 6th. So he had 11 days off, and then he delivered. I mean, this guy seems to deal with some types of arm fatigue. He's an older guy. When he gets a bit of rest, he shoves, and he shoved. And he had 3 straight starts of 7 innings, but every start got a little bit worse. He shut out the Astros over 7 innings. Then he allowed 3 earned runs to the Angels over 7 innings. Then he allowed 5 earned runs to the Astros at home over 7 innings. And since then, he's not looked that good, but he's not looked that bad. But 4 earned runs over 6 innings at the Cardinals, 11 hits in that one. 4 earned runs over 5 2/3 at the Royals. Then the Red Sox. So that was 3 straight road starts, 3 earned runs over 7 innings. Then he comes home, faces the Padres, 3 earned runs over 6 innings. Then he goes to Toronto and shuts them down. Then Thursday, July 2nd, 5 innings, 3 earned runs, 9 Ks, 1 walk, and a 10-4 win at home versus the Tigers. So, he's getting rest, and we can see the 6 days rest. It's nice to have him on 6 days rest. I think that will really help him here. He's a pitcher who seems to really need that. Now, we heard that the idea from Godfather that, the sticks went quiet for the Rangers, but look what they're doing to lefties. Let's get to the bullpen first. Rangers bullpen, 5.18 ERA, 1.39 whip. They're not pitching well. They've pitched better over the last 5 games, but they had a really bad month. The Angels bullpen's pitching much better. Now, they've been bad over the last 5-10 games, but look what they did over the month. Now, these numbers, again, right, I do the last 30 days every day. Every day I refresh them. And 4.08 ERA, 1.27 whip. So you can see that the last 5 to 10 games is affecting their numbers. That was down to like 3.33 when I did 7th to the 7th, and now the 8th to the 8th obviously changes things. Let's get into the line history here for this Angel spot. We have the Angels go from plus 141 to plus 129. That's very telling. Very telling. Plus 141 to plus 129. Let's go to the total. Now, I got to go over who's left, the lefties that they destroyed, because it's pretty interesting. pretty interesting that Detmers would shut them down so easily, and then it's right after they see Detmers, they start destroying lefties. And then should we expect Detmers to do it again? The books are telling us that we should. This total went from 7.5 to 7. 7.5 to 7. Rod's Wacky says, bet on Nathan Eovaldi on the money line versus teams whose hitters strike out 7 or more times a game in the second half of the season. Eovaldi's team record since the 2025 season, 11-0. I think that the 6 days rest is going to help here. I think it's really going to help. Let's look at the price difference. I think this will be telling. We already know that there's been a move towards the Angels, but let's look at the price difference. The Rangers are minus 140 full game. First 5 minus 134. So the Angels are plus 127 full game. First 5 plus 115. Let's take a look at this first 3 total. This first 3 total here. Let's move over here. And okay, here we go. God, talking about the cognitive biases, man. That watching the Sparks look so bad 2 nights ago, obviously, just messed me up. I'm very thankful that I cashed the Valkyries by a half point because I'm not capping WNBA very well right now. I'm looking forward to go over these 3 games with you guys, though. But and we're still up in the black healthy on the year, but I'm slipping, man. I don't like slipping. All right, so we have a 7. So the first 300 should be ridiculous. The under 2.5's got to be minus 165, minus 170. Or they could just show us a 1.5 at plus 120. Let's see. The first 3 unders minus 160. So you have to turn it into a 2. That's a very interesting spot. No, Canning is the starter in the next game. We'll get to it. I like these pitchers to pitch well. I think that if you could get the plus a half, I think it might come in really handy in this game for the Angels first 5. But I'm not. Obviously, this line move towards the Angels is. I mean, if we show up tomorrow morning, I mean, right now we have 84% of the tickets and 89% of cash on the Rangers, and they just keep moving it towards the Angels. I think you're right, Elio. I think the Angels should be bet. But I think that plus a half is going to come in handy. And I got to figure out, exactly why the Rangers have been hitting lefties so hard since they saw Detmers. I guess this is just going to require some time. But I think this needs to be milked. A 13-1 game, you kind of like to back the dog after an embarrassment. Bobby Lorraine only went 4 innings. Wow. Okay. This is going to take work. Top sets looking at the Angels team total over 3.5 and plus 110. Rod Dwight says bet against Reed Detmers on the run line versus AL team scoring 4.4 or less runs a game on the season. Detmers team record during 2026 0-8. I could get into the first 5 plus a half. I could. I also like unders in this one, but I think I would just stick to the first 3 under. There's no way they give us a 4 on the first 5. That first 5 is a 3.5. You could easily make that a 4, though, because it's minus 130 to the over. You could build a 4 pretty easy, I bet. But the lower the volatility, the more expensive the building those lines are. Okay, I'll spend more time on it, but I think first 3 unders, first 5 unders. And I'm hesitant to go back to Reed shutting down the Rangers again. It's very confusing that Reed would just destroy the Rangers, and then right after that, they'd start hitting lefties really hard. I'm going to need to sit with it. Let's move on to our next spot on the board. We have 2 games left in MLB, and then we got to go very quickly through WNBA. We'll spend some more time on it tomorrow, but we're going pretty deep here. So let's roll Petco Park. Not much of a marine layer tomorrow. Minus 6% runs, even for homers, minus 11% doubles and triples, and minus 5% singles. We have Merrill Kelly on the hill. 5.71 ERA, 1.56 whip. If you think a 5.71 ERA is bad, what about a 7.81 expected ERA? He missed the first few weeks of the season due to a back injury, and he just never got going. He's just not looked good. He started looking better, so he allowed 19 earned runs and 24 hits over 3 starts at the end of April. And then he got himself together. 7 innings, 1 earned run at home over the Mets, and then he had a complete game, 1 earned run in Colorado in the thin air. I mean, that was very impressive. He started pitching quite well. He had, a bunch of starts where he started looking good. It continued May 20th, May 25th, May 31st. He was pitching well. Then he gets lit up at home by the Nationals for 7 earned runs over 5 innings. He bounces back with a nice start against the Marlins. Then he gets hit up again, 6 earned runs over 5 in the third at home versus the Angels. I mean, if we're looking at his home road numbers, he's been much better on the road than he's been at home, which doesn't make any sense. You would think that he'd be much better in Arizona, but that's not been the case. If we go back to what we've seen recently, he had a bounce back spot of sorts at home in his last start versus the Brewers. Brewers are a good team, and they won 4-3. He allowed 2 earned runs over 5 innings. Before that, the 3 starts before that, 14 earned runs and 26 hits in 3 starts at home versus the Angels, at the Cardinals, and at the Rays. Coming off a good start, now he's going back on the road. He's a hard guy to trust, and I know you guys believe that Griffin Canning is a very hard guy to trust. Of course, he's earned the nickname Gas Canning from our friend TJ. 6.71 ERA, 1.61 whip. Topset says he likes the first 5 team total over 2.5 here. Says one or both will give up a crooked number. The biggest difference between these two pitchers is the expected ERA of Canning is much, much lower than what he's delivered. And it's the opposite for Merrill Kelly. If we want to get caught up into that, it's a big, big, big difference. Big difference. Rod Zwacker says Arizona is the dog of the day. Says Kelly is 3-0, 2.45 ERA in division. Let's talk about Griffin Canning, of course. He looked bad. He had 2 years off for the back injury. Then he's just getting annihilated as an Angel. Then he signs with the Mets, and all of a sudden he is a great pitcher. And then right at the height of his greatness, he tears his Achilles. And he's not looked great so far as a San Diego Padre. Last start, though, 1 earned run over 4 innings, 3-0 loss at the Dodgers. Before that, 2 earned runs over 4 1/3, and a 3-2 loss at the Cubs. Cubs and Dodgers are tough teams to pitch against. Now, we have 9 days rest for Canning. Why do I have him with the start here on July 4th? Did I screw this up? Let me see here, because I agree. I thought Canning had been off for a while. Sorry, I think I might have. Again, I do these notes by hand, and so no, he pitched on July 4th. He just didn't start. So it's not 9 days rest. He was the primary. So it's short rest for him here. So Deacon Mike says he'd rather watch old people play shuffleboard than watch a game at Petco. Look, I'm an elite shuffleboard player. Deacon. Elite. I'm fucking ready, man. You find a senior citizens home. We get down to business, man. So Griffin Canning, no worries. Yeah, it didn't kind of start. Don't worry, Swiggy. I just don't worry. So Canning has pitched much better in the last 2 starts, and I'm sure TJ is laughing at me right now because I'm clearly romanticizing Gas Canning. Let's talk about the bullpens. Padres bullpen being bad, 4.61 ERA, 1.46 whip. And all of a sudden, the Diamondbacks bullpen starting to pitch a little better once again. 4.00 ERA, 1.22 whip. It's funny. We have the statistical profile of Miller pitching well in division. We also have Griffin Canning pitching pretty well at home. Padres versus righties, 240, 720 OPS. Diamondbacks versus righties, just 210, 640 OPS. So the Diamondbacks have a bullpen advantage. The Padres have a sticks advantage. I will bring real U.S. money, Deacon. I will get a shuffleboard table brought into the Southtown. We need a ping pong table in there too, man. Those are my sports, man. Sports you don't have to move much. All right, let's get into the line history. Let's get into the line history here for our final. Oh no, we have there's nothing listed for the Ryan Feltner start, but we have a move towards the over from 8.5 to 9. 8.5 to 9. It was 8.5 juice to the over. Now it's 9 juice to the under. Then on the money line. On the money line here, we have no minus 116 just sitting here. And then we have the price difference. Let's get to the penny price difference here. The penny price difference we have here, the Padres minus 121. First 5 minus 116, which means the Diamondbacks are plus 110 full game. First 5 minus 100. It's a pretty big difference. So let's take it one step further here. I know this sounds nuts, but let's take a look at the first 3. Let's take a look at this first three. So the first three on the Kelly Canning, it's 8.5 juice to the over. So it should be like, I don't know, 8.5 juice to the over. They don't usually do the minus 110 to the over and minus 130 to the under. They almost never do. It's usually minus 105 to the over. Sorry, minus 130, minus 135, minus 105. So that's what I expect. I expect the 2.5 minus 135 to the over and minus 105 to the under. Let's see what we're gonna get here. The first three total is minus 145 to the over, plus 105 to the under. I think I'm just asking for a little too much here. Find an angle on this game. I mean, I could romanticize these fucking vets here, these gas clowns. I just I think I'm trying too hard here. I'm gonna let this one sit on the back burner. Let's roll. 9:40 p.m. Eastern. Our last spot on the Major League Baseball board. Colorado Rockies 37-54, 15-29 on the road. San Francisco Giants 38-54, 19-24 at home at Oracle Park in San Francisco, California. Let's get into the weather here in Frisco, and it's not very run suppressing. Minus 6%, not much. It's San Francisco, isn't it? Oh, I screwed that up, I think. I think when on the thing I sent you, that was my fault. Swiggy. I screwed up, and I fixed this on my worksheet and didn't fix it on what I sent you. That's all my fault. So this is the Giants, Rockies, Giants. We have Rockies, Dodgers tonight, and I just screwed it up when I was filling this out. So that's my apologies here. So let's go. Oracle Park in San Francisco, California. Let's get into the weather. Minus 6% runs, minus 20% homers, plus 4% doubles, triples, and plus 5% singles. We have Feltner going up against Carson Wisenhunt. That's who we expect to be pitching for the Giants is Wisenhunt. You guys know I'm a huge Feltner believer. I'm embarrassed talking about it. We barely saw him in 2025. A shoulder issue, and then it was, what was it? It was a back injury and then a shoulder issue. And then this year, he missed all of May with another back injury. So, was it? No, it wasn't. Sorry. It was right ulnar nerve inflammation. At first, it was right tricep tightness and right. Oh, sorry. I'm tripping now. I'm panicking. So he did start the year on time. It was last year he dealt with all the injuries, started the year on time. And then he went on the IL. When he went on the IL, he was on the IL for 5 weeks, and he said, "I don't need a rehab start. I'm ready to go right now." And they're like, "No, man, you're Ryan Feltner. You do what the hell we tell you to do." He went to Hartford, I believe, went to AA first, then went to AAA, and he looked really good. It's just 2 starts, and then he shoved immediately at home versus the Giants. And then he went home, second start at home versus the Brewers, and he shut them down too. Then I got cocky, and he allowed 6 earned runs at home versus the Cubs. Then the last 4 starts have been very, very good. Very good. I mean, 2 of the starts at home, 1 at Wrigley, 1 against the Twins, and he's allowed 7 earned runs. He is bet on. Let's talk about Carson Wisenhunt. He's made 1 start in Major League Baseball this year, June 17th. Let's talk about what he's done in AAA Sacramento. 16 games played. He started 15 of them. He's got a 4.42 ERA, 1.46 WHIP. He's got a 4.90 expected ERA. Wisenhunt is a guy who you'd think would already be up here, honestly. He's only allowed 4 home runs in 77 1/3, very offensive conditions. The problem is the Rockies destroy lefties. He had 1 start in the Major League level this year, June 17th, 7-5 win at the Braves, and he shut them down 2 earned runs over 5. But the Rockies are destroying lefties right now. 291, 803 OPS, and Giants versus righties 255, 788 OPS. And then when we get to the bullpens, the Giants bullpen's being horrific, and the Rockies bullpen's very good. The problem is, and this is a real problem, is the Giants just got their clocks cleaned by the Blue Jays. And the Rockies care very much about going up and playing the Dodgers. Every team does. It feels like after you play the Dodgers, you put all your energy into beating them, and then you're exhausted when you go play the San Francisco Giants. So that is a problem. And I know that if Nutflush Allen was with us right now, he would talk about that. He's like, it's tough going from the Dodgers, and then going up to San Francisco. You go from playing the best team in the league to a team that's, 16 games under 500? Rod Zweig says Feltner a vampire, 3-1, 3.66 ERA in 9 games. Look, I'm a huge Feltner believer, but I'm concerned about the Rockies being ready to go here, which then should probably lead us to an under. But this line, we don't have a line out for this or anything out for this right now. I want to back Feltner, but I bet you Wisenhunt pitches well, despite these numbers that the Rockies have versus lefties. Remember, it's much easier to hit in a thin air Colorado than it is to hit in San Francisco with the swirling winds and the deepest ball part of the park, where the wind's blowing out to. So we're gonna have to wait here. But I'd like unders in this one. I like unders. I like first 3 under. Now we have to see, of course, what the numbers are. But I like first 3 under. I like first 5 under. I like Wisenhunt battling here for a job. I like it. So we came, and this is a rarity. I'm a big proponent of just taking what the league gives you, and what the league gave me. There's just a list of games that I wanted to talk out with you guys. So that's what I did. Let's go review what the plan is, and I will be sitting over the next few hours putting it in place. Look, I understand that this is such a clear over in the Braves Pirates. Something just doesn't feel right here. I'm not going to get in the way of it. I still have first 5 over and full game over written down, but Elder coming off the week off, his velocity, they wouldn't be pitching him here if his velocity didn't come back. So I assume his velocity is back, but again, that's an assumption. I got to look into it deeper. Mitch Keller's had back-to-back quality starts at home. The Braves aren't hitting. Why wouldn't he have a quality start here? I want the over immediately in Royals Mets. I'll be betting that as soon as the show's over. Just a full game over, 1 unit, keep it clean. The Yankees Rays, the Rays should be bet. But we do know how good the Yankees bullpen is. Now, they have used some of their arms, but not a lot of them. And I think that Rasmussen is going to pitch really well. I don't see why this wouldn't be another playoff type under. I know we didn't quite get there when we were discussing it off the hop, but then, you sit with the game for a little while and you start really thinking that would be the case. And Rodswag says Rocky's still playing now and into the pen too. So then the Guardians Twins, I have all the notes from Rod and from everybody, but I'm going to need more time on it. Then I kind of like the under in this Red Sox White Sox game with Sandoval coming back for the first time in 2 years, going up against Anthony Kay. I also like the Red Sox a lot, first 5 in full game. Then the Cubbies Orioles, there's some issues here. I need to study more. I like the Athletics against the Tigers. Perkins against Valdez. It's shocking to say that out loud, but big line move towards the A's, and I think it should be looked at. Framber has what was it? 3 strikeouts his last 2 starts. 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. I don't know if he's tired or bored or dealing with arm fatigue. First 3 under and full game under in Seattle, Miami. I'm going to bet that as soon as the show's over. The first 3 under 3, I can't even build a 3. It's too expensive right now. So I'm going to wait because this line in Phillies Reds is moving to the over. I've got to get a better line than that, don't I? And I'm interested in backing Singer first 3 plus a half here. So, Godfather, it happens, my man. It happens. We'll come back and fire again, man. In our Discord, we've seen you catching these live bets nonstop. Don't beat yourself up. The Brewers, I think, should be bet. We want Storms to come in. I think this line's explainable now. Then the Angels, first 5 plus a half, or first 3 under, first 5 under. I'm going to have to make the decision for Angels, Rangers. Again, the nightly bag is quite a bit different than the morning bag. The morning bag, we just kind of smash and grab. Oh, I have Patrick Sandoval. That's pretty clear, isn't it? Are we missing something there? It's Patrick Sandoval's pitching for the first time in 2 years. I like him. I love what he did in his rehab starts. Oh, what do you have right now? Oh, sorry, line-wise. Yeah, the line. Oh, you already have a minus 105? Wow. Okay. The line movement in that Red Sox game, I opened up at plus 105 and it's now plus 100. But look, Heritage moved it to minus 103. Wow, interesting. I got to get on the Red Sox. Then the Diamondbacks Padres game, I just felt like I was trying too hard. I don't want to let go of that. And then I want the first 3 under and the first 5 under in Rockies Giants. Wisenhunt versus Feltner. As soon as that's confirmed, I want to bet that. All right, let's roll into the WNBA. We got to work really quickly here. We're over the 2 hour. That is the time limit, and we're past it. So we're just going to work really quick. Again, we're going to hit these again in the morning. We're also going to hit the CFL games in the morning. So let's roll here. The first spot on the board is the Seattle Storm. Oh, I went a day too far. Sorry. Let me move back here. Is the Seattle Storm 6-17, 2-9 on the road at Atlanta Dream, 12-9, 6-3 at home at Gateway Center, College Park, Georgia. Atlanta. So there's been some interesting line movement. This opened up at 11, got to 11.5, and then right before the show, this was a 12.5. There'd been a 1.5 move. We've had a point back on Seattle. I'm surprised that it got to 12.5. This total is sitting here at 169. Not a lot of movement. Let's get in here. God, we need a run from the Rockies, man. We need one more run. Cash us that team total over. We cashed the first 5. We need the next one. Here we go. Let's talk about the Dream here, because they look like the real deal to start the year, and they've looked very, very susceptible over the last little bit. They're losing games. The streak is now at 5. It followed 4 straight wins and 6 of 7 wins. To take it even further, I mean, they looked like a team that was going to be a real problem come playoff time. Then they go on the road and they lose back-to-back to Golden State, head up to Seattle, lose there, go over to Washington, lose there. They go 0-4 on the road trip. Then they come home and they lose to Golden State again. Now they've been off for 5 days, sitting in that loss. My first thought here was, God, too many points. Dream been playing so bad. I mean, my first thought was, how do we not, get to the Storm? But now that I'm sitting with it for a little while, sitting in that loss for so long, 3 of those 5 losses coming against the Valkyries, this team clearly needs to smash. And this should be the spot they do it. They're not beat up. Aliyah Nye is a game time decision. But this isn't a team that's like, beat up. They are hoping to have Breonna Jones back at some point, but who cares? She hasn't been there all year. This is a pretty healthy group. Now Seattle's playing better. You could even go as far. They're playing their best basketball of the year, I guess. But how angry are the Dream right now? You got to think that they're just sitting here, livid. Seattle opens up their road trip with an 18-point win at LA. They beat Atlanta at home. I think that Atlanta destroys them. Maybe Seattle is at a point where they're playing so well. I love it. All 4. Look at that. 89-31, Robert Cherry. Crushing it, man. Crushing it. I love it, buddy. Great work. And Rod White says, bet on Seattle after 2 straight games, making 80% of their free throws or better. Seattle record during 2026 season, 6-0. Look, I think that initial move towards Atlanta is sharp. You have a team that's lost 5 straight games, and they open up as an 11-point favorite, move to 12.5. And then everybody's going to look at the line saying, well, that line doesn't make any sense. I did. Rod's Wax says the Dream are soft as fuck. Yeah, that might be the case. But sitting here with Rebenga, sitting here for 5 days, I think the Dream smash and grab. And I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I think they fucking smash the Storm. 5 straight losses. One of them came to this team. They've been sitting there. And they had the home game. And they've just been sitting there practicing and losing. Oh, Godfather. Thank you for that wonderful news. So let's roll into the next spot on the board. So the Fever on the second half of a back-to-back should be an exhausted group. We didn't see lines for this one. Game 2 on our board. We still only have a couple. Heritage, MyBookie have put out lines. Let's see. So they put out totals. Do we have any point spread? Yeah, the spread is Phoenix -1 at -109. Shouldn't that be bet immediately? Now, the idea, this is the way we see this going. Aaliyah Boston's going to play tonight, right? And Caitlin Clark's not going to play. So Caitlin Clark played on Wednesday night, and she's not going to play on Thursday. Aaliyah Boston didn't play on Wednesday, and she's going to play on Thursday. That is the expectation here. The Mercury had won 3 straight games before they played the Sky and lost. I think we need to bet this as soon as we possibly can. Rod's Wacky says 0-5 this season in revenge spots. Wow, that's wild. I may be putting myself in a terrible situation, but I think that they are an angry group that smashes. But I'll have to go over all those stats. Thank you for sharing them with us. If this line is available, don't we want to bet the Mercury as soon as possible? I mean, the Fever are going to be exhausted. It's available right now, +1.5, +1. What's it going to be when we wake up? I mean, an angry Mercury team, I think they should be bet right now. Full game, because Fever will be tired late. Fever probably come out strong. How do you not bet the Mercury? 3-game winning streak, then they get embarrassed by the Sky. Fever just trying to be healthy coming into the playoffs because they know they can do damage. I think Mercury should be bet right away. I really do. Let's get them both, Robert, my man. Let's get them both. Okay, so I think the Mercury should be bet right this very second. Now, it's easy to say that if the Fever lose to LA, but I mean, that game took a lot of energy. We know that Caitlin Clark was going to be on a minute restriction tonight. Let's just see what happened on the box score very quickly for the Fever. So Caitlin Clark played 16 minutes. Oh, wow. They played everybody. I should maybe take that back. They played everybody. Only Kelsey Mitchell played 33. Nobody else played more than 26, Tyasha Harris. So maybe Caitlin Clark will be able to go because she only played 16 minutes. And then they get Aaliyah Boston back. Maybe I'm obviously dealing with a cognitive bias because they looked so bad tonight. So I'm going to pause on that one now. You know what? I'm going to pause on that one. They opened up their bench, hop on a plane, get the Phoenix, do it again. I imagine that everybody's going to feel the same way that I did about moving on the Mercury right away. Huh. Okay, let's go. 10 p.m. Eastern, a final spot on the board. Las Vegas Aces, 50-6, 9-2 on the road. Portland Fire, 9-12, 6-5 at home. We're at the Moda Center in Portland, Oregon. Asia Wilson is out, and it has hurt Las Vegas very, very badly. I mean, you get a real sense of, why she is the MVP. She's a game-time decision. So is Dana Evans tomorrow. So that is a huge piece of the puzzle. They certainly don't look good here. Rod's Wacky with a couple great notes here on why the Fever should be bet. I will copy and paste those. And Portland Fire. Look, Portland Fire have been playing more than the sum of their parts for the whole entire season. But, I mean, if Asia Wilson... And again, the whole fade this team when their star player comes back. I don't know if that's the case when we know how important Asia Wilson is to this squad. They get destroyed on the boards without Asia Wilson out there. Take a look at the Fire. They're coming off beating Seattle in Seattle. And they've been off now for 5 days. This is a rested group coming back home. First game home after a 4-game road trip. Saw them lose the first 3. And then we have the Aces coming off being embarrassed at home versus the Fever. You got to think that they're going to come out guns a-blazing, but 8.5 is a lot of points. I could see how this would be a spot that would not be very comfortable here. We have this opened up with the Aces minus 10.5. Now they're minus 9. And then from a total side of things here, we have a 175.5. That's now 176. So clearly we need to know, if Wilson will be in. Interesting. It's funny how the Mercury could beat the Fever, but I fell into the trap immediately. The trap that I think so many cabbers will fall into. Just thinking that the Fever are going to be exhausted. Second leg of a back-to-back. Now we want Aaliyah Boston in. I imagine this line's going to move towards Phoenix because you saw how adamant I was that Phoenix should be bet. Wow. Okay. I'm going to have to sit with these games a little longer. We're going to hammer them in the morning. And then I want to see if there's but my plan, and I'm going to go over all this again, go over, Rod's great notes and stuff, but I want the dream. I want the dream. And if you keep hitting your head against the wall and it hurts, why do you keep hitting your head against the wall? I know it's phrased differently than that. I'm fucking being capping all day. I'm pretty fucking tired. I know that you could use that analogy better than that, but Atlanta's 0-5 in revenge spots. But come on, they've been sitting here for 5 days off of 5 straight losses. What are they, just trash? They don't have injuries to explain it. Storm were one of the teams that trashed them. They got to have Rebenga here, don't they? Don't they have to have the sharpened chopsticks out, ready to open hand slap? We're going to hit all these games in the manana, man. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. The nightly bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. I will see you guys in 9 hours and 47 minutes. And then right after that, I'll be on a jet plane to Las Vegas. Man, I miss Vegas. Miss it badly. My parents met in Vegas. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Las Vegas, man. The grimier, the better, man. I can't wait to be there. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for your support. Rod's wacky. We had the Godfather, Robert Cherry, in the house. Thank you guys. Top set, my man, Lucky Power, Mel in Denver, Deacon Mike in the house, Kelly McInnes. Thank you guys so much. Philly Eagle Flyer, UNLV 94. Thank you guys so much for running with me, man. It means the world. Let's go get this cash, man. Let's go get this cash. You get out of life what you put into it. And the harder we work, we see it in our bankroll. We see it in our records. The harder we work, the more money we make. And we're working hard right now. So let's get this cash. On behalf of all of us, Pub Sports Radio, thank you for supporting us. Thank you to Swiggy, the producer on the ones and twos. Doing a hell of a job, man. Let's get this money, man. Let's get this cash. Leche. Hey, los bookmakers, man. Milk that shit.
It's easier to sleep in the black. When you're losing your ass and feeling so, you know what to do. Tune in to Pub Sports Radio. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's a roller coaster ride, you're gonna catch a bad beat. No problem, keep your head up and just bet the spreadsheet. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. All thanks to Jeff Slaughter, these shows have our backs. POD's always rolling, especially the stats. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. We got Jimmy, Jose, Debbie and the fam, Dutch wine time, Spooner and OG Wham. So hit the like button, don't say that you can't. If you know what's best, just put your money on tape.